Chapter 1699. It wasn't that Tianyun didn't want to do anything. It was just that the situation wasn't right, so he didn't dare to act recklessly. Everything had to be based on his own situation. If he forced things, it would be hard to convince the masses. That would be a very bad thing for the management in the future. For example, if he sent other factions to do something, they would obey on the surface, but their efficiency would be very low behind the scenes. It was clearly meaningless. How would you know if you don't try? Moreover, we think that your cultivation can improve further. Breaking through to a higher level won't be a problem. With our support, nothing will be a problem. The Fecta Domain Lord patted his shoulder and smiled. There's no need to say more. We've decided on you. They don't know your level, but we do. You're the most suitable person to manage. As for me managing, do you think that's possible? It's fine if my two daughters manage, but if I do it, I think this alliance will collapse in less than a year. The Fecta Domain Lord snickered. This old man loved to study all kinds of things. He didn't care about management at all. Therefore, it was all done by the elders. This was a true hands-off boss. Then Jianfeng Domain Lord. Jianfeng Domain Lord should be fine, right? Tianyun looked at the Jianfeng Domain Lord. That guy is a sword fanatic. He's about the same as me. What do you think? The Fecta Domain Lord snickered. Can Yuelong Domain Lord do it? Tianyun said helplessly. Yuelong Domain Lord is a female cultivator. Although I admire her a lot, looking at the big picture, she's not suitable to be the alliance leader. She can be the deputy alliance leader, but it's basically impossible for her to be the alliance leader. Forcing her to be the alliance leader will be several times more difficult than letting you be the alliance leader. The Fecta Domain Lord shook her head and refuted Tianyun one by one. Yuelong Domain Lord knew her situation. She definitely couldn't do it. Men had always been superior to women. She couldn't be the alliance leader. This was also her helplessness. No matter how good a manager was, they could only choose to compromise when faced with stubborn people. Unless she broke through to become a god emperor, then everyone would obey her. But if he really became a god emperor, then there would be no alliance, and there would be no evil spirit race. Then Cloudpiercer Region Master. Cloudpiercer Region Master should be fine, right? Tianyun turned to look at Cloudpiercer Region Master. Cloudpiercer Region Master's personality is rather straightforward, and his temper isn't very good. He often explodes at the slightest disagreement. If he becomes the Alliance Master, he'll probably kick out anyone he doesn't like. The Sword Edge Region Master glanced at them from the side and exposed their shortcomings. The Cloudpiercer Region Master was a little embarrassed, but that was just how he was. His temper was really fiery. Especially in the face of some unfamiliar people, it was even easier to explode. Previously, when he saw how weak Tianyun's cultivation was, he still brought him along. If he hadn't seen the Sword Edge Region Master and the others pushing him, he would have started cursing. After all, to bring an Empyrean over for such a difficult mission, wasn't that the behavior of a fool? Fortunately, the Fecta Domain Lord and the others who were familiar with him had recommended him. Otherwise, he would have flown into a rage. Tianyun reached out and slapped himself on the head. This meant that all the region masters present were problematic. None of them were suitable to be the Alliance Master. Was he really qualified? This one can make Elder Liantian the Alliance Master. The prestige of the Sky Creators goes without saying, right? In the end, Tianyun didn't give up and shifted his attention to Elder Liantian. Young friend, I can hear what you're talking about. Just this alone makes it even more impossible for me. The Sky Creators have declined. Even if we have some ability, we have no prestige. We don't even have our own home. How can we expect others to obey our orders? Elder Liantian shook his head. Back then, the most powerful race had fallen to such a state. It was truly a pity. Maybe the other forces have better region masters who can manage it better than me. Tianyun didn't give up and shifted his attention to other divine regions. If there's one other divine region, it's the Divine Medicine Temple. Just like the Fekta divine region, they're very secretive. It won't be easy to rope them in. The Sword Edge region master thought for a moment. I don't even want to join those stubborn old fogies of the Divine Medicine Temple. They're all terrifyingly stubborn. It's not interesting at all. The Fekta region master shook his head and looked at Tianyun. You. Stop nagging like a sissy, am I nagging? Region Master Yuelong stared coldly at the Fekta region master. The Fekta region master's breath caught in his throat. He scratched his head awkwardly and immediately corrected himself. Region Master Yuelong, that's not what I meant. Kid, stop nagging and be more responsible. Since you're the one who suggested it, you should be the Alliance Master. That's right, you're the one. We all agree. They unanimously agreed that Tianyun was the Alliance Master. When Tianyun saw that they all supported him, he sighed deeply and said, "All right, but it won't be easy for me to manage it. You must all assist me. Isn't that a given? Time is of the essence. Once this matter is over, we'll immediately form alliances with the other forces and rope them in." The Sword Edge region master said with a smile. They all nodded. Time was of the essence. Who knew when the evil emperor would attack? Hence, the sooner the better. In the remaining time, they discussed the details of the situation. For example, they discussed which divine region master Yuelong should summon. The Sword Edge region master's side also discussed which forces to summon. In particular, gathering some forces with decent strength and trustworthy strength was the most important thing. Soon, they arrived at the divine realm of the three realms. Tianyun began to make arrangements for the heaven creators and let them choose a suitable planet to live on. The other region masters immediately went to work and didn't linger. They had a lot of things to do, and they would do it without delay. Tianyun waited here. He didn't know many forces and didn't interact with the other region masters like they did. Hence, it was easier for them to communicate with each other. The evil emperor's plot. Tianyun wondered if he should modify the evil spirit puppet and sneak in again. Suddenly, he remembered that the purple demon might be a very good breakthrough point. The purple demon is an existence that they value very much. After making it into a puppet, I can sneak in and learn more. Tianyun's eyes lit up. Chapter 1700. Tianyun immediately took out the purple evil spirit's materials and started to fuse them together. Very quickly, a purple evil spirit appeared in front of him. This purple evil spirit's cultivation was the same as the one he had killed. They were all at the lower level of the Lord of Heaven. The purple evil spirit that he had killed originally had this cultivation, so it was only natural that it would have this cultivation. My cultivation is a little low. Let's try smashing the evil spirit race's materials and see if I can level up. Tianyun immediately took out a pile of materials and smashed them. After smashing them in, the purple evil spirit's cultivation rose crazily. It jumped 3 times in a row and broke through 3 levels in one go. This was just a small material, and it wasn't even a heavenly god level material. It was good to have a low cultivation. With just a little Empyrean or Divine Lord level material, it would be able to soar up. It's working. Tianyun's eyes lit up. Although the purple evil spirit's cultivation was low, it still had a high status. However, if its cultivation was a little higher, it would undoubtedly have more power. Then, he smashed down again, and all sorts of materials entered the purple evil spirit's body. Very quickly, his cultivation broke through several great realms in one go, and finally stopped at the late-stage Divine Lord level. He did not increase his cultivation by too much. If his breakthrough was too high, it would be very strange. He didn't know what the rules were over there, but it was better to keep it a little secret. He would make plans after understanding the situation over there. It's about time, but I can send 2 puppets over. This way, it's safe and we can help each other. But the evil spirit's pearl, if it's discovered, it'll be troublesome. Tianyun slapped his head and scolded, so stupid, can't I just get one more? Tianyun took out the evil spirit race's materials again. After piecing them together, he immediately pieced together an Empyrean-level evil spirit race. This could be considered the highest level of piecing together. Even if it fell from the evil spirit god's body, it could only be pieced together to this level. However, this was already very good. After smashing the materials, his cultivation crazily soared, and in the end, he stopped at the lower heavenly god stage. It's a pity that puppets aren't one of my forces. Otherwise, this mission would have been easily completed. Tianyun looked at the puppet in front of him. If this could be counted, these missions could be completed easily. However, the mission would not be so easy for him to complete. He still needed to cultivate talents honestly so that they could become a part of him. It's about time. We can move out now. Tianyun brought the two puppets and a teleportation divine-level stone to the area of the evil spirit race's branch. Then, he disappeared, not hiding inside the evil spirit race's body, but directly returning to the three realms' divine realm. He wasn't going to stay inside. If he was discovered, he might be trapped. Previously, in the evil spirit puppets, it was mainly because of the evil spirit's orb. In addition, the road ahead had not been explored much. For now, he only needed to know the information. There was no need to take any risks. Therefore, it was enough to send out two puppets. He could control them from afar. In any case, in the three realms' divine realm, it was as if he was there, and he could easily sense the detailed situation over there. After sending it out, he let the evil spirit puppet bring the purple evil spirit back to the branch. When they arrived at the entrance, the guards inside all came out. When they saw the two of them, one of the guards immediately said respectfully, "Greetings, Lord Purple Spirit." Lord Purple Spirit. When Tianyun saw how respectful they were, he became interested. To actually call him Lord Purple Spirit, it seemed like his status was quite high. The purple evil spirit's cultivation was only at the divine lord level, and the guards were all at the sky sovereign level or above. Even so, they were still respectful to him, which was enough to prove the problem. I've never seen this Lord Purple Spirit before. What's going on? After the guard paid his respects, he realized that he had never seen the purple evil spirit before. You don't need to know that. Tianyun controlled the other evil spirit race and waved his hand, indicating for them to move aside. We still have important matters to discuss with Lord Evil Emperor. There's no need to explain this to you. The guards immediately obeyed and moved to the side. They didn't have any doubts in their hearts, nor did they dare to question anything. Whether it was his aura or his bloodline, he was truly from the evil spirit race. At most, he didn't know where he was hiding or strolling around. In essence, as long as he was from the evil spirit race, it would be fine. After they entered, they directly flew to the area where the evil emperor was. Tianyun just needed to find the evil emperor. It was simple and crude, and then he just needed to stuff all of the purple evil spirit into his hands. At that time, whatever the evil emperor did, he would do. When they arrived at the evil emperor's palace, they were immediately intercepted by guards. However, when they saw the purple evil spirit, they were all extremely respectful. We want to pay our respects to Lord Evil Emperor. Tianyun came over and said. Please wait a moment, we will go inform Lord Evil Emperor now. The guards immediately went to inform the evil emperor. No matter who came in, they had to be notified first before they could enter. No one was more important than the evil emperor, so they had to be notified. Let them in. A voice sounded out in their minds. Yes, Lord Evil Emperor. The guards immediately let them in. It was obvious that the evil emperor had noticed the situation here. Tianyun calmed down. Even if he was seen through, it would be the two puppets' problem, and he would not be harmed. It was just that if the plan failed, it would not be a good thing. When they arrived at the palace, the evil emperor stared at the two puppets. After sizing them up for a moment, he said slowly, Strange, why haven't I seen you before? The evil emperor was naturally looking at the purple evil spirit. The normal evil spirit puppets beside them were completely ignored. The main reason was that the purple evil spirit was too rare. It was very easy to remember them, and their weight was also very heavy. As for the heavenly god-level evil spirits, there were simply too many of them, so it was normal that he did not know about them. Greetings, Lord Evil Emperor. When I passed through the crystal barrier, I was captured for a long time and was constantly being studied. I was originally in despair, but I did not expect that my companions would come to my rescue and rescue me. Tianyun controlled the purple evil spirit to make up an excuse. You were captured for a long time, no wonder. The evil emperor touched his chin and looked at him and said, you were lucky to be able to survive. I wonder which faction captured you. Jian Feng's celestial territory. Tianyun directly revealed Jian Feng's celestial territory. Since they were all blacklisted, he would just casually say one. It really is that guy. The evil emperor slapped the chair and coldly snorted, forget it, go and prepare a little. There are still many things waiting for you to do. As for your meritorious rescue, you can go and receive your reward. The evil emperor waved his hand, indicating for the normal evil spirit puppets to leave. He did not even bother to ask for their names. The difference in status was really big. Chapter 1701. Tianyun controlled the two evil spirit puppets and went about their own business. However, he didn't need to pay much attention to the ordinary evil spirit puppets anymore. After all, only the purple evil spirit puppets were meaningful. The ordinary evil spirit puppets could only stay at the periphery. Come with me. The evil emperor stood up and gestured for the purple evil spirit puppets to follow him. Tianyun followed him. He didn't know where the evil emperor was taking him. In any case, he wasn't worried that anything would happen. The evil emperor had been certain that they were on his side from the beginning. He didn't even suspect that the evil spirit race that had rebelled at the beginning was a puppet. This was too realistic. He could only think that there was some reason that had caused them to rebel. As for what the reason was, he couldn't think of anything. At most, they would only do such a thing because they thought that they were being controlled. It wasn't strange for the evil spirit race to be controlled. It was difficult, but it didn't mean that it was impossible. Under the evil emperor's lead, Tianyun followed into the depths of the tower. They didn't go up, but down. After taking a few turns, they arrived at an empty room. They brought one with them and stepped into the teleportation formation. They didn't expect that there would be a hidden teleportation formation in the depths of the tower. Very soon, a pitch-black energy surged out of the teleportation formation and enveloped them. It had some sort of identification function. As long as they weren't from the evil spirit race, they could be identified. This was also why they could set up the teleportation formation outside. Only the evil spirit race could take it, so they didn't have to worry about being teleported over. In the blink of an eye, Tianyun felt that he had arrived in another space. He had just appeared when he smelled a thick stench of blood. When he looked up, what he saw was simply a scene from Azura Hell. There was a prison in front of them, and every cage held a heaven creator. There was a purple evil spirit in front of every heaven creator clan member. They were constantly unleashing spiritual attacks to interfere with the heaven creator clan members' condition in an attempt to control them. When Tianyun had created the purple evil spirit, he had sensed the difference. Apart from its appearance, the purple evil spirit's main purpose was to attack with mental energy. It could form a type of interference that affected the opponent's state. The sky creators were hard to control, but that didn't mean they couldn't be controlled. They just needed some time. The purple evil spirit bore this kind of responsibility, continuously disturbing them. At the same time, after going through all kinds of torment, it could speed up the control. Tianyun followed along the way. There were both men and women of the Heaven Creators clan locked up in the cages, with the majority being female cultivators. They wanted to completely control the female cultivators of the Heaven Creating clan so that they could reproduce and give birth to the next generation. As one's cultivation increased, as long as they were unwilling, they would not be able to reproduce. Otherwise, they would have nurtured many generations of such people. How cruel! Tianyun saw that many members of the heaven-creating race were being whipped, and their bodies were already drenched in blood. The smell of blood in the air came from here. It smelled disgusting. Not only that, but the purple evil spirit was also constantly emitting ear-piercing noises to disturb the heaven creators, exerting double pressure on them. Soon, Tianyun was assigned to one of the cages. The one he had to deal with was a female cultivator. No wonder there were fewer female cultivators of the Heaven Creators clan that were rescued. It was obvious that most of them had been captured and brought here. The evil emperor suddenly grabbed his head and sent a wave of power into him, searching him in all directions. Relax, don't struggle. Tianyun naturally did not struggle and allowed the evil emperor to do as he pleased. As for his memories, he only put some of them in, leaving the rest blank. After a while, the evil emperor let go and asked curiously, blank. What's going on? They are trying to control me and are constantly using soul attacks on me, causing my memories to disappear. I can only remember a few things. Tianyun had already thought of an excuse. Otherwise, he would not be able to fill in the blanks. If there was a rebellion, there might be a second one. To prevent such a situation from happening, the evil emperor would still be careful and search through his memories. It seems like they still have the ability to control my clan. The evil emperor frowned and thought for a while before saying, familiarize yourself with her. If you have any problems, tell the others. You will be in charge of her. If you can control her, I will reward you handsomely. Understood, Your Majesty. Tianyun pretended to be very respectful as he shouted. The evil emperor did not find any signs of being controlled from the purple evil spirit's body or memories. Naturally, he could only leave. After he left, Tianyun heaved a sigh of relief. He was still worried that he would be slapped to death. That would be too much of a waste. Fortunately, the evil emperor did not think too much about it and allowed the purple evil spirit to continue existing. Then, he turned to look at the heaven creators in front of him. She was firmly pinned to the wall. Be it her feet or hands, they were all bound by sturdy metal chains. She could not move at all. When he looked at her, he could see the resentment in her eyes. If he untied the metal chains, he believed that the heaven creators would tear him to pieces without hesitation. Tianyun ignored her and did not explain anything. It would be a waste of breath to explain with his current appearance. No matter what, the other party would not believe him. He had come in to check out the situation here. He wanted to know how to sneak in, how to escape, and how the situation was in other areas. He followed him out of the prison cell and slowly walked over to check out the situation here in detail. After walking one round, he had a rough idea of the situation. There were a total of 30 heaven creators trapped here. Among them, there were fewer purple evil spirits. There were only about 8 or 9 of them, which was not considered a lot. It was no wonder that the purple evil spirits were so precious. The heaven creators were already difficult to control. With so few purple evil spirits, it was even more difficult to control them. In particular, the cultivation of the purple evil spirits was on the lower side, so it was more difficult to control them. Hence, there were other evil spirits beside them to assist them. They would attack them or torture them. His divine lord cultivation was considered rather high in this place. As for the exit, there was only one, the teleportation formation. This meant that if they wanted to escape, they had to go through this formation. However, there was another way. He had to know the coordinates of this place. As long as he knew the coordinates of this place, he could attack from the outside and rescue them. The teleportation formation only sent him to another area. It might not be where the evil spirit race was, but it could also be in some corner. Hence, knowing the coordinates was very important. However, there was no way of knowing his situation. Chapter 1702. If he wanted to know the coordinates, the simplest and most violent way was to break through the wall and sense it from the outside. Then, he would immediately know the coordinates. However, this was a little too difficult for the purple evil spirits at their current stage. If the heaven creators came to help, things would be much easier. Putting everything else aside, just the member of the Sky Creator clan that he was in charge of was a lower heavenly god. Asking her to help was a very good choice. However, if he really let her out, the purple evil spirits would be the first to die. They would be crushed to death immediately. How could they find the coordinates then? As for the other methods, they were equally difficult. The best way was to let the purple evil spirits out and let Yi Tianyun enter the space in his body, then rescue them one by one. If he did that, the risk would be extremely high. Through his observations, the difficulty of escaping here was no less than the area where the heaven creators were imprisoned. In particular, the evil emperor was closer. If he really sneaked in to rescue them, he would definitely not be able to escape. The teleportation god stone could not ignore everything and escape. In order to preserve his life, this method was undoubtedly very unsuitable. Yi Tianyun did not dare to joke around with his life. If he was trapped here, he would definitely die. This reminded him of when he rescued the heaven creators. He could break through the thick barrier, but if the evil emperor was beside him, it would be difficult to do so. At that time, the gap between the two of them would immediately become apparent. If it weren't for the design of the shield, he would have been caught. This time, they were still in the inner area. As long as he did not escape, he would not be able to use the teleportation god stone. It was easy to enter, but it would be fatal if he left. In no time, all the escape exits would be locked down. He had been let in by the evil emperor the entire time, and not by the other guards. This was a huge problem. The evil emperor was in complete control. This meant that even if he wanted to leave, he would need the evil emperor's permission to use the teleportation formation. Fortunately, the evil emperor is not overseeing there. Otherwise, I really would not be able to rescue them. Yi Tianyun shook his head. He knew that it was not only to imprison the heaven creators, but also to use them as bait. The evil emperor was completely confident that he could trap the invaders inside, which was why he had set this up. Unfortunately, his opponent was Yi Tianyun, which shattered his confidence. If the evil emperor was guarding the place, they would be completely confident. This was the case. Yi Tianyun felt a bit of a headache. He couldn't break out of this area and successfully escape with them. This was much more difficult than before. As expected of the evil emperor, even if the empress came, she wouldn't be able to interfere. "What are you doing here? Aren't you going to work?" A purple evil spirit came out of the cage and looked at Yi Tianyun in confusion. He realized that he had been standing there in a daze for a long time and did not know what he was doing. Yi Tianyun turned to look at him and his eyes lit up. "I'm thinking about something. I just don't know where this area is. It feels very far away from the headquarters. What's the use of knowing this? Work hard. Only when you do a good job will you be rewarded." The purple evil spirit waved his hand and gestured for Yi Tianyun not to think too much. "I'm just a little curious." Yi Tianyun smiled and said, "It's probably the inner area. Don't you feel that the dark element energy here is very thick? It should be near the core, right?" The purple evil spirit waved his hand and said, "I'm just guessing. I'm not too sure where it is exactly. What we need to do now is to control the heaven creators and make them our slaves. It's that simple. Why think so much about the rest? Will it give you any benefits? The purpose of coming here is to obey orders. Don't think too much." The purple evil spirit persuaded earnestly, indicating for Yi Tianyun not to think too much and to just stay here and do his work. Hearing this, Yi Tianyun really remembered that the dark element energy here was very thick. After thinking about it carefully, it was really possible. In that case, even if we know the coordinates, it's meaningless. We have to attack from the top to save everyone here. Yi Tianyun frowned. He didn't expect to return to the starting point after going around in circles. Shortly after, he returned to his cell. The female cultivator in front of him looked at him coldly. After a while, she shouted, "Come on, you beasts. Don't you want to control me? Come on now." The female cultivator shook the chains on her body and kept shouting at him. As she shouted, Tianyun also noticed a problem. There were several gazes looking in his direction, as if they were paying attention to his every move. When he turned his head to look, those gazes quickly disappeared and returned to normal. As there were too few purple evil spirits, not all the heaven creators in the cages were being tortured. There were still many heaven creators who were simply tied up there and couldn't move. "Beast, what are you looking at? Hurry up and attack. I've never been afraid of you. Let's see who gives up first." The female cultivator's reaction was a little intense. In the eyes of the evil spirit race, it was normal resistance. However, in Tianyun's eyes, it was a little too extreme, right? Even if she was in despair, she shouldn't be this agitated, right? Could it be? Tianyun narrowed his eyes and followed them to check the chains. Then, he went to check the other cages in the line of sight. He could walk around freely here, and no one would care what he was doing. "What are you looking at? If you have the ability, stab me with your knife and finish me off." The male cultivator looked at him coldly and said in a threatening tone. "What's there to look at? Do you think you can untie me? Come on if you have the guts. Stop whining. You're all a bunch of people who are worse than beasts." Along the way, just as he was about to take a closer look at the situation of the chains, they all started to twist their bodies and shake the chains in their hands. At the same time, they roared angrily. It seemed like a very normal action, but in Tianyun's eyes, they seemed to be hiding something. Indeed, after checking for a while, he noticed a slight change. The divine seal on the chains had loosened slightly. He didn't expect them to be able to undo the divine seal on their own even though they were trapped here. Their abilities were really shocking. Tianyun grinned. He already understood what was going on. However, in the eyes of the heaven creators, this smile was a smile that meant that they were doomed. They exchanged glances and hoped that Tianyun wouldn't notice. Chapter 1703. After Tianyun became aware of this, he didn't point it out. Instead, he came to the side of the female cultivator and whispered, "I've already seen the traces of you trying to break the chains." The female cultivator's pupils shrank. She didn't think that such a subtle trace could be detected. They had already broken the chains in a very subtle way. Unless it was a very high-grade divine inscription master, it would be impossible to detect it. These purple evil spirits in front of her were all idiots. The level of their divine inscription masters was definitely not high. Looking around, all of them had low cultivations. Although there were high-grade divine inscription masters with low cultivations, if their cultivation wasn't high, then it was impossible for them to be high-grade divine inscription masters. But just like this, their plan had been seen through. The female cultivator's eyes revealed a bit of despair. If they were discovered and the evil emperor reported this to them, then there would be no hope for them to escape. All of their efforts would have been wasted. "Don't panic, we're on the same side. Don't look at me as a purple evil spirit. The truth is that I'm not a purple evil spirit, but a puppet. You can't see that I'm a puppet, but if you could, then the evil emperor would have definitely seen through it." Tianyun said to her with a sound transmission. This was to prevent his voice from leaking out and being heard by other purple evil spirits. The female cultivator was startled. She looked up and down at Tianyun. She really didn't believe what Tianyun said. In her opinion, he was just trying to trick her. "It's normal that you don't believe me. Under normal circumstances, you would definitely explain this matter to the evil emperor." "I definitely won't say anything. Not only will I not say anything, but I will also cover for you to destroy the god seal here." Tianyun continued to say, "But after you break the seal, don't kill me. You can kill the rest so that I can help you. The female cultivator had a very complex look in her eyes. Her eyes were filled with disbelief, but she also believed a little. If this was a plan, then it was a relatively stupid plan. Deceiving them into trusting him was far from enough. Unless they completely left this place, then perhaps they would believe him a little. But the evil emperor already knew why he had captured them. Thus, there was no need to try and trick them. It doesn't matter if you believe me or not. I'll pretend to control you later. You just have to respond a little. Tianyun began to put on an act of releasing his mental power. In fact, he was just slightly enveloping the area around him so that the purple evil spirit could sense it. The female cultivator also felt it, but could only pretend to twist her body and show a painful expression, pretending that she was really trying to control herself. She might not believe it, but she felt that it was worth a try. In any case, there was no harm in giving it a try. It was better than reporting it to the higher-ups. That would be the real end. Tianyun observed the situation around him, and at the same time, he felt that the timing was really good. It just so happened that he had found a very good entry point. Coordinating from the inside and outside was undoubtedly the best way. In this way, it would take some time for him to force his way in. He might as well cause a ruckus outside and perhaps cause some disturbance here. Then, the heaven-creating race rushed out from inside and quickly escaped while the evil spirit race's attention was not on them. This was a very good plan at the moment, at least there was a slight chance. If the evil emperor wasn't here, it would be even more perfect. Looks like I have to arrange for more spies to come in. Tianyun, who was staying in the Three Realms God realm, immediately started to create a few evil spirit puppets. Their cultivation levels were all at the heavenly venerable level. Their cultivation levels did not need to be too high, just the heavenly venerable level was enough. This way, their status in the evil spirit race would not be so low that they could not act. At the same time, if he wanted to do something, these puppets could be put to use. The internal chaos was a very good point. Anyway, they were puppets. It did not matter if they died. In an instant, he launched a two-pronged plan. What made him feel that it was a pity was that the purple evil spirit puppets could not find out more information. They had come in to control the heaven-creating race. Although this was indeed a big matter, he had thought that he would be able to find out more secrets. Now, it seemed like he had thought too much. The evil emperor would not let his other subordinates know more secrets, or rather, they did not have the right to participate. Unless he was an elder-level existence, perhaps he would have the right to participate with the evil emperor. The purple evil spirit puppets were precious because they were proficient in mind control. The rest could only be considered ordinary. However, just this alone was already an extremely high status. This was similar to the occupation of cultivators. Regardless of whether it was blacksmiths or alchemists, their status was much higher than that of ordinary cultivators. No matter what, being able to find out about the heaven-creating race's capture was already a very good reward. If he rescued this batch of heaven-creating race members, it would undoubtedly make the heaven-creating race even more loyal to him. Perhaps they might even join his side. With a good favorable impression, he would definitely be able to complete the main mission. While the two sides were starting, the progress on Tianyun's side was not slow either. The Fekta Domain Lord and the others were swift and decisive, and they did as they said. They immediately gathered a group of Domain Lords and rushed over. The Rank 4 and Rank 5 God Realms were all gathered, and they were all trustworthy Domain Lords. As for the other God Realms, there was no way to call them over. Some preferred to be independent and did not like to interact with other forces, so he could not be bothered to ask them. They all came to the God realm of the Three Realms. When they first arrived, they were still filled with curiosity. This was a God realm that had been deified in the outside world. It had a special shield and a very mysterious power. However, when they entered, they realized that the overall strength of this place was a little weak. After all, the people who came were all domain lords, and even the weakest was a lower heavenly god. Not to mention ancient heavenly gods, even heavenly gods were very strong. Those who could become domain lords could not be weak. Hence, they were able to investigate the overall situation of this place very easily. Seeing their disappointed expressions, Yi Tianyun was not at all surprised. Perhaps because this place was too deified, they thought that it was very strong. Who knew that it was actually very weak, even weaker than an average rank 4 god realm? With a smile on his face, Yi Tianyun watched as they walked into the hall one by one. There were not many people, a total of 6 domain lords. If Domain Lord Yuelong and the others were included, there would be a total of 10 domain lords. Among them, there were 4 rank 5 god realms, and 6 rank 4 god realms. 10 domain lords already made up half of the forces in the god realm. Although it was not all, it was already very shocking. If they could form an alliance, it would be enough to form a very cohesive force to fight against the heretical emperor and the others. At the very least, they would not be in such a sorry state. Chapter 1704. Of the 10 area rulers, only 5 had met Yi Tianyun before. The rest had never met him before. As for the 5th person, that was the area ruler of heaven cultivation, he had no doubt chosen to support Yi Tianyun. There was no doubt about that. Yi Tianyun's status in the realm of heaven cultivation was obvious to all. Furthermore, he was the disciple of the great Devis. That was enough for the area ruler to support him unconditionally. Thus, it was 50-50. Half supported Yi Tianyun, while the other half were observing Yi Tianyun. Is this the area ruler of Heavenly Cloud that you all recommended as the alliance leader? One of the area rulers, Miao Yun, looked at Yi Tianyun from head to toe and frowned. His cultivation is a bit too low. As the alliance leader, his cultivation is too low. I think so too. If his cultivation is too low, he won't be able to convince the masses. Let's not talk about prestige for now. Just based on cultivation alone, let alone us area rulers, even the elders under us would be against it. Domain Lord Jian Feng, what you said before is not like this. You said that the area ruler of Heavenly Cloud was very powerful, but I don't see anything wrong with that. The 5 area rulers all maintained a skeptical attitude. Just based on cultivation alone, it was impossible to convince the masses. This was human nature. Using cultivation as a measure could save a lot of trouble. It was like a master. If the master's cultivation and skills were not as good as his own, then what kind of master was he? Faced with this kind of doubt, Shi Shuyan discussed on the side how to resolve this matter and convince them to choose. I know that there is a lot of debate about this one becoming the alliance leader, especially in terms of cultivation. However, even if my cultivation meets the requirements, there will be all kinds of disputes. This is just one of them. Yi Tianyun looked at them with a serious expression. When it was time to talk about serious matters, he was very strict. The 5 area rulers nodded. Cultivation was just one of the criteria. If the alliance leader only had to have a high cultivation, then there was no need to continue the election. They could just pick the strongest one. The so-called leader of the alliance needed to be the backbone of the alliance. His prestige couldn't be low, and his ability couldn't be weak. Only when all aspects were combined could one become the leader of the alliance. Otherwise, it would be difficult for anyone to convince the masses. Actually, I didn't really want to become the alliance leader, but Chuan Yun and the others strongly recommended me, so I had no choice but to become the alliance leader. Yi Tianyun shrugged helplessly, but immediately changed his tone. Since they are willing to trust me, I naturally won't let them down. As long as you have questions, I will answer them one by one. First of all, in terms of cultivation, other than Upper Heavenly God, the rest of the heavenly gods are not my match. Unless they are very powerful ancient heavenly gods, none of them are my match. Yi Tianyun raised a finger, indicating that he was solving the first problem. You must be bluffing. You're just an upper-level Empyrean, yet you're able to fight against a middle-level Empyrean. Isn't this a little too exaggerated? If that's true, when you break through to the heavenly god level, won't you go to the heavens? One of the domain masters stood out to express his disbelief. The other 4 domain masters didn't believe him, and their good impression of Yi Tianyun dropped significantly. Only the 5 domain masters were smiling, and none of them stood out to say anything. Some things were seen with one's own eyes, and there was no meaning in just talking about it. Yes, when I break through to the heavenly God level, I will definitely go to the heavens, and now I can also go to the heavens. Yi Tianyun pointed at him and said with a faint smile, "If you don't believe me, this domain master, your cultivation just so happens to be a middle-level Empyrean, I wonder if you can fight me? Only by fighting will we know how strong you are." "All right." That domain master stood out and said solemnly, "Then let's fight. If I lose, I will apologize for my actions just now." Choosing an alliance leader is not child's play. Even if there are other domain masters recommending you, I still need to personally evaluate you. Following that, this domain master stood out and summoned his heavenly god's spiritual treasure, preparing to fight with Yi Tianyun. Soon, this place was immediately divided into a territory for them to fight. "Since you're a guest, it's not good to go too far. Our cultivation is so different, I'll let you attack me 3 times, if I can't accept it, it'll be my loss, how about it?" Yi Tianyun proposed a condition. They were not enemies, so there was no need to fight so hard, so it was fine to just have a little bit of a spar. "Sure, the difference between our cultivation is so big, to be honest, if we fight like this, I'll lose face." The opponent was Domain Master Baichi, and he was considered a highly respected domain master, so he had to be cautious. Although Domain Master Jian and the others strongly recommended him, and even used his integrity as a guarantee, he had to be responsible for his own divine domain, so even if he had to lose face, he had to personally test it. "It's coming." Domain Master Baichi didn't hold back. After all, when facing enemies on the battlefield, if the alliance leader didn't lead correctly, it would bring about countless deaths. This was not something that could be casually afforded. Yi Tianyun also summoned his celestial spiritual treasure, and with 3 celestial spiritual treasures, he immediately mobilized his own strength. Boom! A strength that was many times stronger than before was released from his body. However, he was not attacking, but defending, so his main attack was still defense. Compared to defensive power, he needed to activate the Dragon and Phoenix divine veins, and the effect was almost at the maximum, as if he had turned into an indestructible rock. Domain Master Baichi's attack just happened to arrive, and it turned into a sharp sword, piercing through Yi Tianyun. Dang! Accompanied by a crisp sound, Yi Tianyun didn't move, but Domain Master Baichi was bounced back, and after spinning a few rounds in the air, he steadily landed on the ground. "Not bad, I've used 30% of my strength, and you can still be so relaxed, it seems that I have underestimated you." Domain Master Baichi laughed, then, "It's the second move." Domain Master Baichi used 60% of his strength for the second move, and the power was greatly increased, but it was still the same move, and there were no changes. It seemed that Domain Master Baichi was very straightforward, and he didn't use any tricky moves. As long as Yi Tianyun could block his move, he would admit defeat, and he wouldn't say anything else. The second move was bombarded, and Yi Tianyun steadily received it, and the 5 dragons' divine spear in his hand collided with Domain Master Baichi's. Boom! Yi Tianyun was slightly pushed back a few steps, and Domain Master Baichi was also sent flying. Both of them were sent flying at the same time, which meant that it was a tie. However, the loser was still Domain Master Baichi. After all, Yi Tianyun only needed to defend, and not win against Domain Master Baichi. Very good. Chapter 1705. The fact that Yi Tianyun was able to withstand 2 moves easily impressed the other 4 domain lords. They had scoffed at this before, for they didn't believe that someone could be so powerful when there was such a huge gap between their cultivation levels. Now it seemed that they were completely wrong. There really was such a heaven-defying existence. Using his own strength to fight against a divine realm intermediate realm god, how could they not be shocked? Although the third move had not been used yet, in their opinion, they had already acknowledged what Yi Tianyun had said before. If he could break through to the divine realm, he would really be able to go to heaven. Next is the third move. As long as you can completely withstand this move, it will be your victory. Otherwise, it will be my loss. Domain Lord Baichi's aura rose sharply again, and his strength increased a lot. This time, he didn't dare to use all his strength, but at least 80 to 90% of it. Naturally, Domain Lord Baichi wouldn't use all his strength, and would only use most of it. After all, Yi Tianyun was defending, and it would be too much to use all his strength. Okay, no problem. Yi Tianyun nodded, holding the 5-dragon spear tightly, and was ready to go all out. He had never really fought against a domain lord, especially a head-on attack. He had always focused on sneak attacks, so that even if there was a gap between their cultivation levels, he could still win. In a real battle of life and death, sometimes the gap in cultivation could be made up for with skills. In particular, one's own ability was very important. All kinds of martial arts could make up for some of the gaps in cultivation. Of course, if there was a huge gap in cultivation, it would be a joke. After all, no matter how amazing a martial art was, it was useless in the face of absolute power. For example, Yi Tianyun's teleportation was good at sneak attacks. He could suddenly appear behind the enemy, but the enemy's cultivation was too strong. Even if it was only for a moment, the enemy had already made a counterattack. Then, Domain Lord Baichi attacked fiercely after Yi Tianyun was ready. The move didn't change, and it was still the same move. Such a stubborn attitude, however, made the other domain lords feel deep respect. This was a matter of face, and also a matter of attitude. It was originally a test of Yi Tianyun's strength, to see if he had reached the corresponding level, and not to kill him. After all, Yi Tianyun was highly recommended by the Sword Edge Region Master and the others. No matter what, they had to give him some face. He's here. The same move, but with different might, bombarded over once more. Although the moves were the same, the power was different. It was as if he had been given a brand new power. He smashed down from the sky and collided with Yi Tianyun, who was as sturdy as a boulder. 5 dragons roar. Yi Tianyun didn't show any signs of weakness either. Following that, he unleashed an extremely powerful force, and when he slammed into each other, a violent explosion erupted between the two of them, forming a terrifying energy tornado that whistled out in all directions. The Sword Edge Region Master and the others were already prepared. Everyone waved their weapons and easily deflected the force, preventing the palace from being damaged. No matter what, this was a discussion hall, and there was a corresponding protective divine seal. However, it could not easily withstand this power. Therefore, he still had to help remove it, or else this place would definitely collapse. Boom, boom, boom. The violent explosion shook the entire planet, and many cultivators could clearly feel the vibration. Those who didn't know the situation thought it was an earthquake. After a while, the explosion finally stopped. When the energy of the explosion dissipated, what they saw was Yi Tianyun standing steadily, his body retreating hundreds of meters, and a long mark in front of him. Yi Tianyun didn't have many injuries on his body, and most of the power was absorbed by the thick dragon scales on his body and the power of the void. It didn't seem to be a big problem, and it could be said that he was almost unharmed. Domain Master Baichi naturally wouldn't have any problems. Yi Tianyun mainly focused on defense, and even if he attacked, he would focus on protecting himself. Therefore, there wouldn't be any problems, and his body was intact. You win. Domain Master Baichi looked at him and laughed. Just as the Sword Edge Region Master said, the Tianyun Region Master is indeed a genius of the generation, and you are better than all of us old guys. No wonder in such a short time, you killed your way from the outer celestial realm to the inner celestial realm, and even defeated the evil emperor. The other domain masters also nodded. After seeing Yi Tianyun's power, they all recognized that Yi Tianyun was quite strong. Maybe there was still a gap between him and them, but this gap would be greatly shortened or even surpassed after his cultivation breakthrough. Deep down, they were still shocked, as they finally saw the power of someone who was a level higher than him. But they always felt that it wasn't a level higher than him, but more like he was hiding his strength, and his real strength was probably above the divine realm. No matter which one it was, for them, as long as his comprehensive strength was up to the standard, it would be fine. I am still far away from you, seniors, Tianyun said modestly. You don't have to be modest about this. We agree that your strength is enough to convince us. Domain Master Baichi stepped back, showing that he agreed with Tianyun. However, as soon as Domain Master Baichi stepped back, Domain Master Yunsha walked out. Although his name was a little feminine, he walked out like a man. We all agree with your cultivation and strength. But as the Alliance Master, you need to manage all aspects. Are you qualified? Domain Master Yunsha asked. Since his strength was qualified, naturally, it would be his turn to manage. If he couldn't manage, then he would be messing around. To be honest, my level is average, but with the help of Domain Master Jianfeng and many of my generals, I think I can manage them perfectly. The question is whether they are willing to be managed by us, Yunsha said. Tianyun thought for a moment and said with a smile, this point, in fact, can't be proved by words. I'll find a time to let my capable generals go over and have a spar with all of you. Wouldn't that make things clear? Many of his godly generals were very capable, and after a long period of training, they were already prepared. Okay, it's useless to talk about this. Let's find a time to simulate the attack of two camps, and then we'll see if the Tianyun Domain Master's generals can easily break it. Domain Master Yunsha nodded and didn't make it difficult for Tianyun. She also agreed with Tianyun's method. It was meaningless to say more, and they would see on the battlefield. After Domain Master Yunsha stepped back, another Domain Master came up. This time, it was Domain Master Miaoyun's turn, and she was also a man. In fact, among the 10 Domain Masters, only Domain Master Yuelong was a female cultivator, and the rest were all men. No matter how feminine their names were, they were all men. Chapter 1706. Domain Master Miaoyun thought for a moment before saying, Domain Master Tianyun, if you want to be the Alliance Master, you must first have some achievements. I wonder if you have done anything to convince everyone in this regard. I have it now. Isn't it enough to save the Sky Creator clan and humiliate the evil emperor? Tianyun retorted casually. These two things were difficult to achieve, but they succeeded with Tianyun's help. Perhaps the Sword Edge Domain Master and the others contributed to saving the Sky Creator clan, but the real credit belonged to Tianyun. What did they see when they saw that shocking speed of destruction? Even if the Sky Creator clan was not saved by Tianyun, just humiliating the evil emperor was enough to convince everyone. How many region lords were able to accomplish such a feat? It could be said that Tianyun was the first one to humiliate the evil emperor. The Sword Edge Domain Master and the others were blacklisted, but they were only blacklisted because they destroyed the Evil Spirit clan's major branches. Therefore, it could only be said that the Evil Spirit clan suffered some damage, but it was far from humiliating the evil emperor. After all, they did not even touch the evil emperor. No matter how their subordinates died, they were just a bunch of ants. If they died, they died. Tianyun was the one who truly humiliated the evil emperor. Not only did he steal the princess, but he also stole the Sky Creator clan. If the evil emperor wanted to kill someone the most, it would definitely be Tianyun. The other 4 people on the blacklist added up could not even compare to one of Tianyun's fingers. That was what he meant by, hate the evil emperor to the bone. Messing up the evil emperor's plan, and his cultivation was not particularly heaven-defying. This made him grit his teeth. Moreover, in terms of safety, who can compare to my god realm of the 3 realms? When the time comes, as a safe central area, we can transfer the injured or important cultivators here during the battle. Who can touch it? Tianyun listed out his advantages. Just being a safe area was enough to be a highlight. Of course, if he wasn't the Alliance Master, he wouldn't have the right to speak. Basically, this place would be forcefully expropriated. If he was the leader of the Alliance, he would be able to command them where to go, and he would be able to control them. The few domain lords looked at each other. They really couldn't think of anything to refute Tianyun's words. After all, this bit of advantage was really a huge advantage. Making the evil emperor suffer a loss made the forces that had been persecuted by the evil spirit race feel a sense of satisfaction. This was enough to convince many disciples and elders of Yi Tianyun. If this isn't enough, I will soon have a new plan, and that is a plan to make evil emperor suffer. Yi Tianyun smiled and looked at them. We can even trick the evil emperor. What kind of plan is that? They stretched out their necks, wishing to know what kind of plan it was. This has to be kept a secret. After all, whether we can succeed or not is another matter. When the time comes, you will know. Yi Tianyun looked at them and said with a smile, before that, I can help you to clean up the internal spies. Of course, if you have full confidence in yourselves and guarantee that there are no spies, then forget what I said. Domain Lord Baichi thought for a moment and was the first to stand out. I don't know what plan Tianyun Domain Lord is talking about, but I am very happy to see that it can make evil emperor suffer. As for whether it will succeed or not, I have already decided to let Tianyun Domain Lord become the alliance master. Me too. Me too. One by one, the domain lords stood out and chose to support Yi Tianyun. Even if there were one or two who didn't support him, it didn't matter anymore. As long as there were more than 6 or 7 people supporting Yi Tianyun, the rest would have to follow the majority unless they chose to withdraw. As for the plan to eliminate the spies, we are very happy to let Tianyun Domain Lord have a look. Speaking of which, I have always felt that there has been a leak. Every time we go out, some teams will disappear, and it is very likely that they have been captured or killed by the evil spirit race. Of course, I will not let Tianyun Domain Lord come here for nothing. After the matter is over, I will give Tianyun Domain Lord a certain amount of compensation. Domain Lord Baichi also chose to be the first to try, asking Yi Tianyun to help identify the spies. He also directly called Yi Tianyun Domain Lord as the alliance master. Although he didn't call all the elders or anything like that, since their domain lord had already made the decision, it was easy to negotiate with the elders. I also want to invite Tianyun Domain Lord to come to my god domain, and the compensation is also negotiable. One by one, they stood out, worried that they wouldn't have a chance. They all knew the general situation from Domain Lord Yuelong, and they didn't think that there were no spies in their god domain. Yuelong god domain was strict enough, but there were still many spies in their god domain. It should be said that they were controlled and then turned into spies. They didn't think that there were no spies, and in order to feel more at ease, they all wanted to invite Yi Tianyun to check it out. Even if it was just to spend some treasures, they still wanted to invite Yi Tianyun to check it out. No problem, it's very simple. Yi Tianyun smiled, and he didn't have any problem with this. Especially now that it had been negotiated, his position as the alliance master was stable. Of course, this was just a verbal promise, and there was still a lot of work to be done, such as the competition of divine generals, which needed to be done. Otherwise, it would be difficult for him to manage the god domain. However, he believed that his divine generals could be competent for similar tasks. For example, Mingyu, or Xiaowu, who had been strengthened, would not lose to the generals of other forces. Immediately afterward, Yi Tianyun went to Baichi God Domain, and Domain Lord Baichi couldn't wait to invite him along. As for other things, they could be done at the same time, so it wasn't a big problem. Yi Tianyun went to Baichi God Domain and began to search for the controlled disciples, and soon, he found a lot of them. Compared to Yuelong God Domain, there was a lot more, and it could be described as terrifying. At first, Domain Lord Baichi was shocked, but after searching his soul, he realized that it was true. At that time, Domain Lord Baichi truly believed that Yi Tianyun had such terrifying eyesight that he could see through the existence controlled by the evil spirit race. As expected of the man who made the evil emperor suffer. With this ability, it was enough to serve as the alliance master. After going to Baichi God Domain, he had to go to other God domains to help clean up. For a moment, he was really quite busy. Perhaps this was the price of becoming the alliance master. However, it was quite worth it to help them get rid of these spies. This way, At least there wouldn't be any major problems between the several forces. Chapter 1707. Just a little bit more and we'll be able to destroy this divine seal. Let's hurry up and destroy it before the vile emperor arrives. Tianyun transmitted his voice to heavenly goddess Yuji. The vile emperor seems to be in seclusion right now, so he probably hasn't discovered what's going on here. The vile emperor is in seclusion? How do you know when you haven't even left? Heavenly goddess Yuji was perplexed. Don't worry about that. It's a piece of information that I received from my spies outside. Tianyun replied, all you need to do is hurry up and destroy this seal. I'll take all of you out when the time comes. However, it looks like we'll need some time before we can break out of this place. Have you found the reinforcements? Heavenly goddess Yuji asked. My true body will be here with a group of area lords. They'll only come when it's about time. When the vile emperor isn't here, that will be the best time for us to strike. Tianyun spoke with a solemn expression, if the vile emperor is here, it'll be very difficult for us to succeed. After all, he has complete control over this area, so it won't be easy for us to escape. Heavenly goddess Yuji nodded. She was well aware that the vile emperor was the god of this place. Being able to control everything here meant that he was the master. If he wasn't here, most of the spell formations here would be ineffective. The vile emperor was very domineering. Or rather, all members of the evil spirit tribe were like this. They wanted to control everything and only give a small portion to others. For example, the teleportation spell formation here could only be brought in by him. Other elders couldn't be brought in. Unless they destroyed the teleportation spell formation, they wouldn't be able to enter or leave. The same was true for some of the killing formations outside. They were all controlled by the vile emperor, and without his control, they wouldn't be able to unleash most of their power. This was the effect of absolute power, but the vile emperor wanted to do this. He wanted to monopolize all of the power for himself. However, there was a benefit to this. If the vile emperor left this place or went into seclusion, then this place would lose its effect. As such, even if heavenly goddess Yuji and the others destroyed the divine seal, they still had to pretend that they were imprisoned here. He had to wait for the evil emperor to leave before he chose to flee. That way, it would be safer. As soon as they finished speaking, a figure walked in. Upon closer inspection, it was the vile emperor, whom they hadn't seen for many days. They did not expect that evil emperor would come over to patrol the area. Now, they held their breaths. They were worried that evil emperor would see through their plan, and they were also worried that Tianyun would tell on them. Although Tianyun's words were somewhat believable, it didn't mean that they were completely trustworthy. Perhaps he was just trying to make a contribution. When evil emperor came, he would choose to tell them. This time, their hearts were in their throats. Tianyun didn't know what they were thinking, but he was also very nervous. If heavenly goddess Yuji and the others were discovered, then everything would be for naught. The evil emperor did not pay attention to them. He continued to inspect them, and when he saw that they were all working hard to control the heaven creators, he was very satisfied. Which one of you will be able to control it soon? Evil emperor asked casually. Most of the purple evil spirits could only shake their heads and reply that they could not do so for now. The heaven creators were not so easy to control. If they could be controlled easily, they would have done so long ago. Why would there be so many of them locked up in cages? What a bunch of useless trash. You're too slow. We've provided so many resources and spent so many resources to get you here just for this kind of reply. Evil Emperor spoke in a cold voice, hurry up. We don't have much time left. Yes, Your Majesty. They could only nod in response. They continued onward with the evil emperor. He couldn't even be bothered to check out the places where the purple evil spirits were. Instead, he went directly to the empty cages. Heavenly Goddess Yuji and the others' hearts were about to leap out of their throats. The evil emperor was different from the other purple evil spirits. He was quite proficient in the field of divine seals, so there was a very good chance that he would be able to see through them. Evil Emperor arrived at one of the cages, and his brows furrowed as if he had discovered something. Just as he was about to take a closer look, Tianyun suddenly yelled, "Your Majesty, I'm about to successfully control them." Tianyun kept releasing his spiritual power towards Heavenly Goddess Yuji. Heavenly Goddess Yuji was stunned for a moment, then she struggled and turned her head with a painful expression, as if she was really controlled by Tianyun. Really? The evil emperor quickly turned toward Tianyun and inspected Heavenly Goddess Yuji's condition. How much more do I have before I can completely control them? He wasn't the one controlling Heavenly Goddess Yuji's body, so he couldn't completely sense what was going on within Heavenly Goddess Yuji's body. Soon. I should be able to succeed in a few years or a dozen years. Tianyun gave a rough estimate of how long it would take. You're telling me this is soon? The evil emperor harumphed coldly. However, the time is still acceptable, so hurry up. Also, the next time you report the time to me, don't tell me if it's not within a month, understand? Even though a few years wasn't a long time, the evil emperor felt like it was a very long time. I understand, Your Majesty. Tianyun yelled as he continued to control Heavenly Goddess Yuji. The evil emperor continued to inspect the cages, but he still followed the same path. It looked like he really did have to inspect the cages one by one. After ensuring that there were no interruptions, he would switch to the next one or not inspect them at all. The evil emperor was quite meticulous and wanted to inspect all of the cages in detail. It looked like he was going to be discovered soon. If he was discovered, he would be done for. Your Majesty. Tianyun yelled again. What is it now? The evil emperor was very displeased, and he turned to look at him. I made an error in judgment. I'll be able to control them in no more than 3 days. Tianyun gave an extremely short estimate. 3 days? The evil emperor hurried over with glowing eyes. Is that true? If there is any falsehood in my words, then please cut off my head and kick it like a ball. Tianyun said ruthlessly. 3 days. The evil emperor laughed heartily. All right, I'll go back and make some arrangements. I'll wait for your news. As long as you can complete it within a month, you'll have done a great service. The other purple evil spirits all looked at him with envy and jealousy. They all felt that Tianyun was really lucky to have chosen a Heaven Creator clan that was easy to control. They had been controlling them for so long, but they still couldn't completely control them. Tianyun had only been here for a short while, but he was already able to control them. He was really lucky. Thank you, Your Majesty. Tianyun expressed his gratitude. The evil emperor nodded and immediately turned to make preparations. It looked like even if he was controlled, he still had to make many arrangements before he could take over the Heaven Creator clan. Chapter 1708. Tianyun had successfully diverted their attention, but the problem was that the evil emperor had gone back to make preparations, which meant that they had to break through the seal within a month. Furthermore, they had to escape while the evil emperor was still here, which was going to be a lot more difficult. However, it was better than being discovered. Otherwise, they would be completely screwed. He was sure that the evil emperor would be able to tell that there was at least a 7th or 8th grade divine inscriber who had set up these divine seals. Under these circumstances, he would definitely be able to discover that there was at least a divine inscriber of the 7th or 8th stage. Of course, there was a chance that he wouldn't be able to discover anything, but he didn't dare to take that gamble. If he was discovered, then everything would be over, and he would be wasting his time. They still had a month to stall for time, so there was still a chance. He's finally gone. Can you break through the divine seals within a month? Tianyun quickly transmitted his voice to them. No problem, I can break through them within 2 weeks. I can break through them within a week or so. I can also break through them within a week or so. All of them transmitted their voices back to him, finally believing Tianyun's words. They believed that Tianyun wasn't lying and that he really was one of their own. They knew what it would be like to lie to the evil emperor. The evil emperor wouldn't lie to him as there was no point in doing so. Looks like you really are one of our own. Heavenly goddess Yuji also believed in Yi Tianyun's identity. No one from the evil spirit tribe would dare to do something like this. That's not the point. The point is that we have to figure out how to escape. We were planning to wait for the evil emperor to leave, but it looks like that's going to be difficult. Yi Tianyun's brows furrowed. In any case, hurry up and break through the seal. I'll set up everything outside. They nodded before continuing to break through the divine seals. Meanwhile, Yi Tianyun immediately summoned all of the area leaders, and he used the Alliance Leader Summoning Badge. With this Alliance Leader Summoning Badge, he could quickly gather all of the area leaders, and it was very useful. If he didn't use it at a critical moment, he would be cursed at. What's going on? One by one, the domain lords tore through the void and charged over. When they realized that nothing had happened, they were all stunned. Didn't I say that I wanted to make evil emperor suffer? Now, I'm doing it again. It's the plan to save the remaining heaven creators. Yi Tianyun said in a deep voice, I'm already inside the evil spirit tribe and I'm preparing to rescue the heaven creators. Let's head over quickly to provide support and create chaos outside. But this matter is still rather dangerous. At that time, we might have to fight head-on against evil emperor. If they didn't create some chaos, the slightest movement from the inside would immediately be discovered. Clearly, this wouldn't work. There had to be something wrong with the outside to attract the firepower. Only then would they be able to escape. Are you saying that the Alliance is going to fight against evil emperor? Cloud Vale Region Lord and the others looked at each other. They weren't ready for the battle, and the deaths would be tragic. Of course not, we're not ready yet. Instead, we're conducting an attack to prove ourselves. Only our group will be heading there, and the Heaven Creating Clan will be participating as well. Just our group alone is enough. Yi Tianyun smiled faintly. We're going there to save people, not to risk our lives. As long as we save the Heaven Creating Clan, we'll retreat immediately. If we completely save the Heaven Creating Clan, I believe you'll also receive their gratitude. At the same time, you'll be able to destroy the evil spirit tribe's plan to control the crystal barrier. Moreover, we also want to understand the evil spirit tribe's current strength. There was a group of Heaven Creating Clan experts behind Yi Tianyun, and they were all heavenly gods. How could they not save their companions when they were in trouble? Yi Tianyun had specially selected the strongest group. Their overall strength was at the level of a middle heavenly god, and there were more than a dozen of them. More than a dozen middle heavenly gods, including the 10 region lords, could they not even save this group of people with such terrifying combat power? In that case, aren't they afraid that evil emperor will really be forced into a corner and launch a full-scale attack? Region Lord Baichi frowned. Evil emperor won't do that. If he wanted to launch a full-scale attack, he would have done so a long time ago. He must have some misgivings or is preparing something. That's why he won't launch a full-scale attack so soon. Yi Tianyun was full of confidence. If he launched a full-scale attack, the Sword Edge Region Lord and the Cloud Region Lord would have been attacked long ago, right? That's right. The Sword Edge Region Lord and the Cloud Region Lord looked at each other and smiled. If they were really forced into a corner, they would have been killed long ago. These two on the blacklist often interfered with the evil spirit tribe and had eliminated countless evil spirit tribe members. Also, many of the evil god army had been killed. However, nothing had happened to them at all. The evil emperor had been enduring, and it was very likely that he had some misgivings. Hearing this, Domain Lord Baichi and the others felt that it made sense. Speaking of which, you have people in the evil spirit tribe. The evil spirit tribe will be tempted. Domain Lord Baichi and the others were very curious about this. They had wanted to do this for a long time. How could the evil spirit tribe do as they wished? No matter how they threatened or tempted them, it would be meaningless. Well. Yi Tianyun smiled at the Fekta Domain Lord. Fecta Domain Lord knows about this. Anyway, we are leaving now. Do you have any objections? The Fecta Domain Lord naturally knew what method he was using, but he didn't point it out. No objections. Since the Alliance leader has said so, we will naturally listen to him. They all nodded in agreement with what Yi Tianyun said. In fact, this was also related to the recent events. Yi Tianyun's capable subordinates had been compared to the generals they had sent. In the end, Yi Tianyun's side had won a great victory. Not all of them, but at least most of them had been won by Yi Tianyun's side. They had been speechless, and they truly believed in Yi Tianyun's power. Their cultivation levels were not bad, but they were not good at commanding. This was related to Yi Tianyun's training. Their cultivation levels had always been weaker, so they had to rely on techniques to win. As they slowly trained, their techniques would naturally improve. As such, they could not win in terms of cultivation levels, but they could win in terms of techniques. As for their opponents, their cultivation levels were high, but they lacked training, so their techniques were not very good. This made them want to die. There was a huge disparity in their cultivation levels, but they were unable to use their techniques here. How could they not be frustrated? However, they were competing in terms of commanding, not cultivation, so they had no choice but to accept their defeat. Soon after, they set off majestically. A large group of domain lords and a large group of experts headed towards the evil spirit race's headquarters. At the same time, Heavenly Goddess Yuji's divine seal was finally broken. In the instant that it was broken, they immediately rushed out and transformed into a tornado of slaughter. A bunch of purple evil spirits were reduced to a cloud of blood mist. Chapter 1709. Now that we've taken care of everything, what's next? Heavenly Goddess Yuji and the others gathered around him. Aside from a small number of people who knew who Yi Tianyun was, everyone else had no idea who he was. Initially, when they tried to attack Yi Tianyun, they were quickly intercepted and explained to them. Recover as much as you can now. There's going to be a huge battle soon. After all, it's not going to be easy to get out of here, Yi Tianyun said. What about the teleportation spell formation on the outside? The biggest problem was that they couldn't use the teleportation spell formation on the outside. Only the evil spirit tribe could use it. Not to mention that Yi Tianyun was still under the control of the evil emperor. Even if he could teleport, he couldn't control it. Don't worry, we'll just have to modify it a little. I'm sure that won't be a problem for you, right? All you have to do is hide in my body, and you'll be able to get out easily, Yi Tianyun said with a smile. That's indeed not a problem. Heavenly Goddess Yuji's eyes lit up. All they had to do was modify the teleportation spell formation slightly. However, they couldn't completely modify the effects of the teleportation spell formation. After all, they basically couldn't teleport over. This was a point-to-point teleportation spell formation. If the teleportation spell formation on this side was destroyed, how could they connect to the teleportation spell formation on the other side? Hence, all they had to do was modify the teleportation spell formation slightly. This really wasn't a problem for the heavenly creators. Since they were known as the Sky Creator Clan and could even create the heavens, modifying a teleportation formation wasn't a big deal at all. It could be described as a walk in the park. However, there's no hurry. We haven't come to rescue them yet. We'll modify them when the battle begins. Otherwise, I'm afraid that the evil emperor will immediately know about this, and all our efforts will go to waste, Yi Tianyun said in a grave voice. But even if the evil emperor comes, he won't be able to capture us without paying a price. Heavenly Goddess Yuji chuckled coldly. Her eyes were cold to the extreme, and killing intent surged from her body. This time, they had all come out and weren't trapped. Even though they had been tortured for a long time, they were still in a decent condition. After all, they didn't dare to torture them to death and only wanted to control them. That was why now that they were all released, they were all incredibly powerful heavenly deities. At the very least, the heaven creators here were all heavenly venerables. As for those with weak cultivations, they would rarely appear. The Heaven Creator race was extremely rare. Their children would break through to the Divine Lord level at birth, and when they grew up, they would break through to the Heavenly Venerable level. Thus, the Heaven Creators were rather heaven-defying. Most of them were Heavenly Venerables. This was the bloodline of a god. To be a Divine Lord at birth was enough to show how powerful he was. Thankfully, the higher one's cultivation, the harder it was to reproduce. Otherwise, the Heaven Creators would truly be invincible. This was the same as the God Spirit race. Their cultivation and talent were shocking, but their reproductive abilities were too poor, so their numbers were always maintained at a stable number. At most, their numbers would increase slightly, but it was very difficult for them to increase by a large amount. Even in Yi Tianyun's divine realm of the three realms, it was difficult to increase it by much. Unless he married someone from a different race, the number would increase by quite a bit. However, that way, the bloodline would not be pure enough, and the corresponding abilities would be much weaker. Thus, it wasn't that they didn't want to marry, but that their abilities would be greatly weakened. In that case, they wouldn't even be considered a God Spirit race. If they didn't even have the most basic innate abilities, how could they still be called a God Spirit race? There were gains and losses. This had always been the case. Only when the situation was extremely difficult would they choose to marry. In order to continue their bloodline, they could only choose to marry. If they were lucky in the future, their descendants might even be able to awaken their bloodlines and strengthen them to the orthodox level. It should be said that it was quite good to be able to unleash the strongest effects of both bloodlines. Heavenly Goddess Yu Ji and the others were all prepared. Thus, even if the heretical emperor discovered them, they would rather die than let the heretical emperor have his way. After all, being controlled here was a fate worse than death. They would rather fight the heretical emperor to the death. While they were preparing, Yi Tianyun's side was already charging over. A group of heavenly gods was charging over. Apart from Yi Tianyun, the others were all heavenly gods. It could be said that a large group of experts had gathered here. It's a pity that there are still a large number of realm lords who haven't gathered here. There are at least a dozen realm lords in total. If they all join forces and attack this way, we won't have to worry about the heretical emperor at all. The Sword Edge realm lord shook his head. I went to ask them before, but they completely ignored me. They are completely focused on the Medicine God Temple. If the Medicine God Temple doesn't join, they won't join. The Medicine God Temple is so powerful. There are a dozen divine realms that have a good relationship with it. Yi Tianyun was a little surprised. Yi Tianyun had learned a little about the Medicine God Temple after he found out about it. The Medicine God Temple was an independent existence. It didn't ally with anyone, nor did it participate in the battle of divine emperors. It could be said that it didn't care about the evil spirit race's nonsense. It could be said that it maintained an absolutely neutral existence. As long as the evil spirit race didn't provoke it, the Medicine God Temple wouldn't care, let alone send people to attack. This meant that even if the surrounding divine realms were occupied, the Medicine God Temple wouldn't send a single soldier. It could be said that it was selfish. Of course, it could also be said that the Medicine God Temple was extremely independent and thought that it could withstand everything. Even if the evil spirit race attacked, they could deal with it. After hearing this, Yi Tianyun didn't have much of a good impression of the Medicine God Temple. This kind of absolute independent existence was good under normal circumstances. But that was relative to the situation where there was no evil spirit race. The evil spirit race was an absolute existence. Even if the Medicine God Temple was absolutely independent, it would be meaningless. He was afraid that after the evil spirit race ruled here, they would definitely devour the Medicine God Temple. But the Medicine God Temple didn't care about anything, which made him feel very disgusted. Now there were a dozen divine realms that had contact with the Medicine God Temple. If the Medicine God Temple chose to join, they would definitely choose to join. This made him feel very puzzled. The Medicine God Temple was crazy, and the other divine realms were also crazy. Didn't they think about the terrible disaster brought by the evil spirit race? Yes, They are all the same as the medicine god temple. They don't care about these things. Although they don't completely obey the medicine god temple, they have a good relationship with the medicine god temple. If the medicine god temple chooses to join, they will definitely choose to join. In short, take down the medicine god temple, they will definitely choose to join. Chapter 17:10. Absolute neutrality made Yi Tianyun very unhappy with the medicine god temple. He really wanted to see what was going on with the medicine god temple. Were they that confident that they wouldn't be invaded by the evil spirit race? The medicine god temple doesn't care at all. Why are they so confident that they aren't afraid of the evil spirit clan? Yi Tianyun asked. The heavenly medicine temple is indeed the number one. Legend has it that the heavenly medicine temple once had an emperor god. Don't you think they are arrogant? The sword-edged domain master snorted. There was a god emperor, no wonder. In the past, Yi Tianyun had heard that there were no god emperors. But now, it seemed like there really were god emperors. Of course, there were no god emperors at the moment. Moreover, there could only be one god emperor in a world. The medicine god temple once had an emperor god. Their foundation was really strong. Perhaps they were not worried about the evil spirit race, but it was very likely that the next divine lord was about to be born. That's right. The medicine temple once had a god emperor. How could they not be arrogant? The cloud-piercing region master shook his head. It's impossible for the medicine temple to join us. Let the divine medicine temple become the leader, and we will all become its subordinates or allies of the first level. Otherwise, we won't bother to talk to you. The medicine god's temple. Ordinary transactions are fine, but it's impossible to ask them to do anything. The disciples in there are very arrogant. I guess there will be a god emperor soon. Domain Lord Baichi snorted. He was also very dissatisfied with the medicine god temple. The medicine god temple is too neutral. The evil spirit race doesn't even bother to care about the world outside. I guess that after the appearance of a god emperor, they will immediately sweep away everything. Therefore, they don't care what happens outside. Region Lord Cloud Veil interrupted. You're right. I went to the Divine Medicine Hall to trade some stuff. I'm afraid the Hall Master is about to become a god emperor. As for the other elders, they're all ancient era experts. It's good that the Medicine Divine Temple didn't participate in the god emperor battle. They didn't suffer any losses, and there are plenty of ancient immortals. The Fecta Domain Lord was very disdainful of the Medicine Divine Temple. The Fecta Domain had participated in the god emperor battle. Not to mention the heavy losses, even his parents had lost their lives. He was furious that the Medicine God Temple refused to participate. However, it was other people's business if they didn't participate. They couldn't blame anyone for this. But if the Medicine God Temple was attacked one day, they wouldn't care. The Domain Lords all complained. The reputation of the Medicine God Temple could be said to be extremely bad. But they still went to trade with the Medicine God Temple, which was enough to show that the foundation of the Medicine God Temple was really not bad. God Emperor, they are really confident. Yi Tianyun shook his head and said, but come to think of it, the Medicine Temple has a lot of spirit herbs, eating them like vegetables. How can there not be a lot of experts? Ha, it's more or less the same. Eating spirit herbs as if they were vegetables. What an apt description. The Sword Edge Region Master chuckled. By the way, is the Medicine God's Temple still recruiting? I really want to take a look inside and see what's going on inside. Yi Tianyun laughed. The Medicine God Temple is also mysterious. It has never recruited people. It has not recruited for a long time. I'm afraid it won't marry. So, don't even think about joining. Besides, what's so good about joining the Medicine God Temple? Basically, you can't go out. You are always locked in, without any freedom. The Fecta Domain Lord patted the fan in his hand and carefully thought about the situation of the Medicine God Temple. Yi Tianyun really gave the Fecta Divine Fan to the Fecta Domain Lord. Only the Fecta domain lord could use it to its full strength. Always locked in and can't come out. Tianyun didn't know much about the medicine god temple. He had gone to learn a little about it before, but only a small part of it was recorded. Most of the details were not recorded. It could be said that it was quite mysterious. Only by chatting with the domain lords could he learn more about the situation. Yes, it's really annoying if it's not like this. This is the real neutrality. Completely ignoring the outside world, has been active inside. It's really amazing. The Sword Edge Region Master shook his head. He couldn't understand this way of doing things. Forget about the Medicine God Temple. They won't join us anyway. We can talk to the other divine realms, but it seems that we can forget about it now. No one is willing to move. I don't know how many disciples of their divine realms have been captured by the evil spirit race, but they are still indifferent. Maybe there are too many spies in their divine realms, so they don't care about the alliance. The Cloud Penetration Region Master said casually. Then, the other domain lords looked at each other. Maybe it was true. They had found out that many of their disciples were being controlled. Who knew how many of their God's realm elders were being controlled as well? In that case, it's really possible. But according to this, maybe the Medicine God Temple is also under the control of the Sword Edge Region Master. The Fecta Domain Lord's words really scared a group of people to death. It's unlikely. The Medicine God Temple has always been a neutral existence, even before the appearance of the evil spirit race. The Fecta Domain Lord frowned. The Medicine God Temple was even more closed than the Fecta Divine Realm. No one in the Fecta Divine Realm was under the control of the Medicine God Temple. Then at least the other divine realms will be under the control of the evil spirit race. The other domain lords nodded. The divine realms that didn't choose to join had all been violated by the evil spirit race, but they still didn't choose to join. It was possible that the internal power of the evil spirit race was under the control of the evil spirit race. After all, the reason why so many domain lords were able to join was because they had been violated by the evil spirit race. It wasn't because the Sword Edge Region Master and the others were too powerful. Now, they were going to the headquarters of the evil spirit race together. It was because they hated the evil spirit race to the extreme. They could destroy a part of the evil spirit race and destroy the plan, so why not? It seems that if I go and persuade them one by one, maybe I can really persuade them to join. Tianyun smiled slightly. It seemed that after this matter was over, he would be busy. It's really possible. It seems that I didn't think about it carefully before. Now that you mention it, if I let the Tianyun Region Master go and check it out, maybe they will really join. The Sword Edge Region Master patted his head. He didn't think too much before. Not necessarily, I think it has a lot to do with the Medicine God Temple. The Fecta Domain Lord shook his head, thinking that things were not that simple. No matter what the situation is, with our current situation, it is enough to deal with it. Tianyun looked forward and said in a deep voice, "We are almost there, the important points of the evil spirit race. Of course, it is also provided to me by the Fecta Domain Lord." Chapter 1711. They were about to reach the main headquarters of the evil spirit race. The Fecta Domain Lord had never been inside before. He thought it was just a small branch of the evil spirit race, but who knew that it was a headquarters with the greatest influence? Perhaps there were other branches of the evil spirit race that were even more heavily guarded than here, but it seemed that this place was very important. At least the Sky Creator clan was imprisoned here, and most of the elders were also here. It could be said that this place was very important. "We're almost there," Tianyun suddenly said. The domain lords' hearts tightened. They all knew that the evil spirit race was very strong now. If they were not careful, they might die here. But Tianyun had said that they didn't need to risk their lives this time. They just needed to keep delaying them. Compared to risking their lives, the chances of dying here would be greatly reduced if they kept wandering. Then, they all summoned their strongest treasures. None of them were stingy. If they were stingy, they would carry these treasures with them forever. But if they were stingy, they would sink into the soil or turn into dust and scatter here. Soon, they arrived at the evil spirit race's passageway. Like usual, this place was completely sealed. On the surface, there were no passageways or areas. This wasn't a big problem. They had already known this before coming. This is the passageway, but we can't use it. Only the evil spirit race themselves can use this passageway. Tianyun pointed at the pitch-black soil on the ground. It looked like soil that had been dyed black. It didn't look like a teleportation formation. This is the passageway. It was the first time they had seen such a passageway. They didn't expect that the headquarters of the evil spirit race was here. That's right. Now, I'll forcefully open the passageway with the Fecta Domain Lord. When the time comes, we'll directly blast in and kill the guards of the evil spirit race inside. We'll also disturb them inside. When it's about time, we'll immediately lure them out. Tianyun told them the plan. The domain lords nodded, indicating that they understood. Then, Tianyun and the Fecta domain lord nodded at each other and immediately began to forcefully open the passageway. Under normal circumstances, it was indeed difficult to open, but the two of them were extremely powerful divine carver masters. It wasn't a big problem to forcefully open this place for a short while. After that, the two of them stood to one side and started to destroy the seal of the teleportation channel. Both Tianyun and the Fecta domain master had studied it before, so they knew how to operate it. If it were any other divine inscriber, they really wouldn't know where to start. When it was broken, the teleportation array immediately emitted a pitch-black energy. Following that, the passageway opened up bit by bit. At the same time, the evil spirit guards inside realized that something was wrong with the teleportation array. After a brief investigation, he immediately discovered that there were intruders outside, and it was a large group of intruders. It's invaders, a large group of experts. The evil spirit guards cried out in alarm. They never thought that there would still be cultivators who would dare to attack them so boldly. Were they not afraid of the wrath of the evil spirit race? They immediately crushed the emergency token to inform the elders to come and rescue them. After the evil spirit elders received the news, they all felt very puzzled. He had never encountered such a situation before. This was the first time he had encountered such a situation. Strange, there's an intruder. Who would be so daring? Let's go out and take a look. Let's see who's so blind as to capture them and swallow them. One by one, the elders quickly flew out to see who was so blind. When the evil emperor, who was setting up various formations, sensed the news, he frowned and looked outside. What's going on? Who's invading? Forget it, let them deal with it. We can't stop setting up the formation now. Otherwise, it'll be a waste. The evil emperor did not stop and continued to set up the formation. This formation was the control teleportation formation. He was waiting for the purple evil spirit to bring the heaven creator race over after successfully controlling them. Then, he would have to modify them. A simple control naturally could not last long. He had to use the support of the formation to truly stabilize it. Otherwise, it would also be broken free. Once he stopped setting up the formation, it would lose its effect later on. He could only let the intruders do as they pleased and let the other evil spirit race deal with them. At the entrance, Tianyun and the rest had already quickly opened up a hole and forcefully opened it. After opening it slightly, it was just enough for one person to enter. They immediately shouted, "You can go in now. Go in with your most explosive power first. Then, let me go first." The Sword Edge region lord's eyes were filled with fighting spirit. He held a sharp sword in his hand and could not wait any longer. Immediately after, he did not hesitate and rushed in. However, before he rushed in, a healing power supported his body and maintained the continuous healing effect. The Sword Edge region lord looked at Tianyun with gratitude and continued to rush in. Tianyun not only supported the Sword Edge region lord but also the other region lords. The other region lords had not experienced it before. They were all shocked by the strong increase in healing power. There was such a special power. They all looked at Yi Tianyun with gratitude and rushed in one by one. They could not afford to have any gaps. If the Sword Edge region lord was alone in there, it would be dangerous. Level up, it's up to you guys. Yi Tianyun's eyes flashed. This time, he would definitely have enough experience to break through to the heavenly god level. They thought that Yi Tianyun was just a support. They did not know that he was doing this for experience. Of course, at the same time, their injuries would not be as severe, which was beneficial to all of them. This was killing two birds with one stone. Very quickly, the experience bar kept jumping up, which meant that the Sword Edge region master was already in the middle of a massacre. Wherever he went, blood splattered everywhere. He and the Fecta region lord had been expanding the passageway so that they could escape faster and not be trapped inside. If the two of us attack together, even the heretical emperor won't have an easy time. The Fecta region lord harumphed coldly. He was extremely displeased with the heretical emperor and hoped that they could give him a good beating this time. Yi Tianyun nodded. At the same time, he controlled the purple evil spirit puppet to converse with heavenly goddess Yu Ji and the others. I've already brought people over. Let's create a conflict outside. Let's get ready to modify and escape when the time comes. Yi Tianyun suddenly said. Heavenly goddess Yu Ji and the others' eyes lit up. It was finally time for them to move. Their eyes were filled with battle intent. They would rather die than be captured again. There's no need to be so desperate. I can't say for sure this time, but there's still a good chance that we can get you out of here. Yi Tianyun consoled them. Chapter 17:12. Yi Tianyun did not say much about how heavenly goddess Yu Ji and the others were feeling. He only told them to prepare themselves. He naturally did not want any accidents to happen. As long as he could escape from this area, he would be able to escape successfully. With the teleportation divine stone in hand, he was not afraid of escaping at all. As long as he was not sealed, escaping was not a problem. At the same time, the Sword Edge region lord and the others were already slaughtering the evil spirit race beings inside. Especially when a group of region lords charged out, the evil spirit race beings were scared out of their wits. They did not know why these region lords were attacking so crazily. Did the evil spirit race skin their parents alive? Otherwise, why would they be so crazy? More than a dozen region lords charged over, and they even saw the heaven-creating race. Dozens of heavenly gods charged over and killed most of the guards and the evil spirit race beings outside. They did not even have time to react before a bunch of attacks came over. They were not afraid of killing the wrong people at all. To these region lords, as long as they were standing nearby and still alive, they would be their targets. No matter how strong or weak they were, as long as they were within their target range, they would be killed without exception. All of you, die. Region Lord Baichi and the others were bloodshot. They had been harmed by the evil spirit race all this time, and now it was their turn to fight back. How could they not go crazy when they saw the evil spirit race beings here? Previously, they could only find a few evil spirit race beings at most, and they did not even know where their headquarters was. As for Fan Yu and the evil spirit race beings from the outer divine realms, they naturally could not go down and eliminate them. Moreover, their cultivation levels were too low, and killing them would not be able to harm their foundations, so it was meaningless. It was different now. There were so many evil spirit race beings with decent cultivation levels. Killing a group of them would be harming the roots of the evil spirit race. The treasures of dozens of heavenly gods were smashed outside. It was a very spectacular scene. Yi Tianyun, who was outside, was grinning from ear to ear. His experience points were exploding, and he kept using experience cards in order to quickly level up. He could not wait to break through to the God Arch level in one go. That would be awesome. However, that was impossible. The experience required was too much, and it could not be easily achieved. He only hoped that he could quickly break through to become a heavenly god, and then step into the level of an intermediate heavenly god. At that time, the power that he would erupt with would probably be enough to put up a fight against the evil emperor. After all, his crazy damage mode was no joke. Once it was unleashed, it would truly be able to slay gods and Buddhas. Damn it! There are so many Empyrean gods. Hurry up and ask evil emperor for reinforcements. That's right. We can only mobilize the demonic god army. Otherwise, we won't be able to resist them. Why isn't the evil emperor here yet? This place is about to be flattened. The elders of the evil spirit race were forced to retreat. How would they dare to approach this group of lunatics? The demonic god's army had yet to move. The main reason was that the demonic god's army only listened to the evil emperor's orders. As long as the evil emperor didn't give any orders, the demonic god's army wouldn't move even if their territory was flattened. The evil spirit race was just that strict. The orders of their superiors were absolute and could not be disobeyed. If they disobeyed, they would be completely eliminated. Domain Lord Baichi and the others could be said to have gone completely crazy. They madly attacked all the way, not caring about their consumption at all. This was Yi Tianyun's plan. He told the domain lords not to hold back at all. They only needed to bombard them indiscriminately, and they didn't need to care about anything else. As for escaping, leave it to him. Although they didn't know how Yi Tianyun had escaped, since it was the alliance leader's order, they would obey it. Of course, they would still hold back. At the very least, they would save some strength to escape. They had to listen to Yi Tianyun's orders, but they still had to be safe and make more preparations. After the evil spirit race crushed the emergency token, the evil emperor's side could be said to have jumped up from the explosion. A bunch of urgent information was transmitted over, causing the token in his arms to tremble crazily. Because it was too intense, even a few cracks appeared. What's going on? You can't even handle this. What a bunch of good-for-nothings. The evil emperor looked at the large formation that had been set up in front of him. He could only clench his teeth and give up. He turned around and flew out. At the same time, he shouted, "Inform all the evil god armies to prepare to move out and destroy this group of invaders." As he turned to leave, the formation that had been set up suddenly caught fire and turned into ruins. God knew how many resources had been wasted, but they had been wasted just like that. Otherwise, the evil emperor wouldn't have been so reluctant to leave. Not only was it a waste of time, but it was also a waste of a large number of resources. It was really not worth it. After the evil emperor came out, a large group of evil god armies came out. There were actually 3 teams of evil god armies, which meant that they could transform into 3 evil spirits. If they worked together with the evil emperor, it would be really a heaven-defying level. So it's these fellows and the escaping Sky Creator clan. Good, good, good. Since you're all here, don't leave. The veins on the evil emperor's forehead bulged. When the evil god armies had just appeared, he immediately transformed one of the teams of evil god armies into evil spirits. He became the main controller of the central area. It turned into an even larger evil god and charged over. The darkness that was filled with murderous aura was like the arrival of the real evil spirits, and they pounced over. The evil emperor hadn't even reached them, but the Sword Edge Region Master and the others could already feel a terrifying pressure from afar. This was the evil emperor's trump card. Together with the evil god armies, they were really no match for him. Especially since they had never worked together before. Even though they were all very strong, they couldn't gather their strength together to form a joint formation. Thus, they could only fight one-on-one, or join forces to attack together. That was all. But to the evil emperor, they were on a completely different level. The evil emperor is here. Let's go. The Sword Edge Region Master and the others didn't waste any time. They all turned and fled towards the tunnel, without any hesitation. This was Yi Tianyun's plan. When he saw the evil emperor, he turned and fled without another word. He didn't care about anything else. You still want to leave? The evil emperor stretched out his hand and squeezed. The tunnel in front of him started to close up. He wanted to stop the Sword Edge Region Master and the others. Then, the divine seals around the tunnel shone with black light. As they shrank, the tunnel started to close up. But the speed was very slow. It was obvious that it was stuck and couldn't close up quickly. These fellows came prepared. They can actually suppress my formation. The evil emperor's gaze turned cold. He immediately sped up. When the evil emperor caught up, the Sword Edge Region Master and the others had already fled. The evil emperor could only dive into the tunnel and chase after them. Chapter 17:13. As soon as Yi Tianyun gave the order, Heavenly Goddess Yu Ji and the others immediately began to remodel the teleportation array one by one. Bursts of energy seeped into the teleportation spell formation and began to carefully modify it. This was not a simple matter, and it would take a lot of effort to complete the transformation. Thankfully, there were quite a few of them, so they were able to modify the teleportation spell formation as a group. After a short while, the teleportation spell formation underwent a slight change. However, it was only a slight change, and it could be said that there was almost no change at all. Done. Heavenly Goddess Yu Ji heaved a sigh of relief. These modifications were very minor, but they were very worried that they would fail. If they failed, then the teleportation spell formation would be useless. When that happened, they would have to break through this sturdy wall in order to escape. This would undoubtedly take up a lot of time, which was not something they wanted to see. Alright, then enter my body now. Yi Tianyun signaled for them to stop struggling and wait for him to absorb them into his body. Heavenly Goddess Yu Ji and the others nodded. They weren't afraid that Yi Tianyun would try to trick them. After all, they would be able to break out of his body if something went wrong. Furthermore, they had already completely trusted Yi Tianyun. If he really was going to lie to them to this extent, then it would be a very cruel thing to do. Yi Tianyun then waved a hand, and all of them were absorbed into his body. None of them struggled, so they were easily absorbed into his body. Let's go. Yi Tianyun didn't delay, he walked into the teleportation array and quickly disappeared in the teleportation array. He had only modified it slightly so that he could use the teleportation spell formation. Aside from that, there were no other modifications. However, even such a minor modification required a lot of effort. Success. Yi Tianyun was ecstatic. It looked like he had succeeded. Everything would be fine as long as he could leave this accursed place. He emerged from the teleportation spell formation with ease in the blink of an eye. There were no guards outside as only the evil emperor could control the teleportation spell formation, so it didn't really matter whether there were guards or not. This allowed Yi Tianyun to leave very smoothly, without any hindrance. However, on the surface, he was a purple evil spirit. Even if he came out, he could say that the evil emperor had asked him to come out, and he could easily fool them. I hope that evil emperor doesn't sense anything. Right now, Yi Tianyun only hoped that evil emperor did not sense anything. If he did, things would be troublesome. But unfortunately for him, evil emperor could really sense it. The moment he lost control, he sensed it. What's going on? Why did we lose contact with them? Right when evil emperor charged out of the tunnel and was prepared to fight against Sword Edge Region Master and the others, he immediately sensed that there was no response from the prison. This gave him a bad premonition. Just like now, when the portal was forcefully opened, he felt it. Alas, he was busy setting up the formation and couldn't divert his attention to control it. He could only sense the abnormalities on this side. Who knew that they couldn't stop it at all, so they could only give up on setting up the formation and come out. Now, it was the other side that was in trouble again. This made his heart sink. Could it be that the other side was also infiltrated? But that's not right. I didn't sense anyone sneaking in at all. Evil Emperor was the god of this place. He had absolute control, and he also had absolute senses. Just as he was feeling puzzled, a figure attracted his attention. It was Yi Tianyun. Not only Yi Tianyun, but also the Fekta region master and the others on the blacklist. This made him immediately furious. I was wondering who was so daring. So it's you guys. Do you really think that you can come to my side as you please? Evil Emperor was furious. He no longer cared about the situation. Even if there was something strange, this was the only exit. As long as he guarded this place, even if the heaven creators inside could leave the prison, they wouldn't be able to escape. Evil Emperor is out. Tianyun and Fekta region master exchanged a look. Then, they signaled Sword Edge region master and the others to continue fighting. However, when they saw the 3 troops of the evil god army, they felt the pressure increase. Once again, Tianyun realized that the evil emperor really did have a lot of subordinates. Just how many powerful beings were hidden? Fekta region master, go and reinforce them. I will continue to open up the passageway here. Leave it to me. Tianyun had no intention of participating in the battle. Instead, he continued to open up the passageway here. He was worried that once the passageway closed, Heavenly Goddess Yuji and the others wouldn't be able to escape. No problem. I'll leave this to you. Fekta region master nodded. He immediately summoned all types of heavenly gods' spirit treasures and placed them in piles around the passageway. The evil emperor was enraged, and so was the Fekta region master. His parents had both died during the God-Emperor battle. He wanted nothing more than to exterminate the entire evil spirit tribe. Now that he had seen the evil emperor, his rage was completely ignited. He wanted to fight the evil emperor to the death. Not only the Fekta region master, but all of the powerful beings of the Heaven Creators tribe also unleashed their special abilities. All of them wielded the power of laws, and various elemental powers revolved around them. The powers that the Heaven Creators wielded were very simple and violent. They were all extreme elemental powers. For example, the power of laws of fire was the most powerful flame in this world. Not only did they wield the power of laws of fire, but they also wielded the power of other laws. Every heaven creator had a different elemental power, and when combined, their powers reached an extremely powerful level. The only thing Tianyun could do now was to constantly release healing power on the side and buff them with healing power. After all, he had to open up the passageway. There was nothing else he could do apart from enhancing his healing powers. Hurry up, hurry up! Tianyun looked at the realm leaders who were constantly defending against the evil emperor's attacks, and he was screaming in his heart for the purple evil spirit puppet to come up as soon as possible. The longer this dragged on, the more disadvantageous it would be for them. The evil emperor had already forced them into retreat. This was enough to show just how powerful the evil emperor was. A single evil emperor was able to suppress a dozen or so realm leaders. After leaving the passageway, the purple evil spirit puppet quickly flew upward. After passing through the passageway, it easily emerged from within. Greetings, Lord Z. When the guards saw Tianyun emerge, they did not stop him. They thought that the evil emperor had asked him to leave. Tianyun nodded and left hurriedly. He did not pay much attention to them. After leaving the tower, he immediately flew toward the passageway. He hoped that he could escape from here as quickly as possible. However, before he could fly too far, he heard a shout. Wait a minute. Chapter 17:14. Tianyun didn't expect the demonic god army to show up. It seemed like they were going to reinforce the evil god army, but now they appeared here and stopped him. What's the matter? Tianyun said proudly. The purple evil spirit was of a higher rank than the demonic god army, so he didn't need to be humble. The exalted vile emperor has ordered us to stand guard here, and to intercept anyone who comes out of there. Weren't you supposed to stay down there? Why did you come up? The leader of the demonic god army flew over with a stern expression. He didn't care about the purple evil spirit's status at all. Tianyun's heart sank. It seemed that the evil emperor had given the order to the evil god army to surround the place, and if there was any movement, they would immediately attack. If they weren't on their side, the demonic god army would have pounced on them and attacked them. The evil emperor has ordered me to do something. Is there a problem? Tianyun remained calm and didn't panic. No, no matter who it is, no one is allowed to leave this place. Please go back now. Otherwise, don't blame us for being rude. The demonic god army revealed a fierce murderous intent. It seemed like they only listened to the evil emperor's orders. The rest of the people, including the elders, had to get lost. I have something to report to the evil emperor. Something happened down there. You guys should go in and take a look. Tianyun didn't pay attention to him, he turned around and flew towards the exit. He wanted to leave while the evil god army was still far away from him. Don't blame us for being rude if you leave again. The demonic god army shouted at Tianyun. They were still as inflexible as before and ignored Tianyun's words. If the evil emperor ordered them to stay up there, they wouldn't go down even if the ground was flattened. The demonic god army was inflexible. They didn't care about any changes and didn't know how to adapt. They only knew how to obey orders. What a bunch of inflexible fools. Tianyun sent a voice transmission to Heavenly Goddess Yuji and the others, telling them to get ready for battle. The demonic god army was about to attack. Heavenly Goddess Yuji got ready for battle after hearing that, but most of them planned to run away. Fighting in someone else's territory, even if he won this round, he would have to face even more experts later on. There was no point in continuing to fight. Immediately, Tianyun increased his speed to the maximum and flew toward the passage, getting faster and faster. Don't go. The leader of the demonic god army caught up quickly. The rest of the demonic god army didn't follow. Only one demonic god army caught up. The evil god army alone was enough to stop Tianyun. After all, the evil god army was at the heavenly god level, so it was impossible that they couldn't catch a divine monarch purple evil spirit. In the blink of an eye, the evil god army appeared in front of Tianyun and said coldly, "Don't blame me for being impolite." He didn't attack immediately because he was a comrade. If the heaven creators were running around, they would have been taken down already. He had just finished speaking when a flash of light shot out from the purple evil spirit puppet's body. The demonic god army didn't even have time to react before they were sent flying. They were either dead or crippled. Let's go. After Heavenly Goddess Yuji and the others emerged from the puppet's body, they dragged the purple evil spirit puppet with them as they fled. There's a change in the situation. Report to the evil emperor immediately. There's a change here. The demonic god army's heart sank. They chased after them quickly. They were shocked by the change. No one knew why the heaven creators were hiding in their own bodies. Soon, the news was sent to evil emperor outside. After the evil emperor found out about this, he roared and sent the surrounding area lords flying. His gaze was cold as he said, "Good, no wonder you kept messing around on the side and even defended this passage to your death. So you wanted to work with us from the inside." The evil emperor turned his attention to Tianyun. He kept the passageway open so that the heaven creators could escape. He was wondering what Tianyun was doing. They had already escaped, so why did he keep the passageway open? Did he have nothing better to do? Who would have known that they had chosen to do so in order to save the heaven creators from the inside? This made him even more furious. No wonder he invaded. He was here to save them. The heaven creators were extremely important to him. Not only did he save a group of them, but he was also here to save the rest. This made him even angrier. Then, evil emperor extended his hand and increased his strength to close the tunnel. Immediately after, Tianyun felt a tightening force coming from the side of the passageway. It increased the force he had to maintain the passageway. Looks like they already know what's going on. Tianyun wasn't surprised. He had guessed that the evil emperor would sense it immediately. Although he was hoping for a fluke, he was still sensed. "You're not bad. I'll start with you." The evil emperor waved the black energy in his hand. It turned into a black canopy and swept towards them. The canopy, which seemed like it could devour everything, came crashing down from the void. Break for me. The sword-edged domain lord and the others unleashed their strongest force and pounced on the black canopy. With a series of explosions, the black canopy was broken. You want to fight? Ask us first. If the sword-edged domain lord and the others couldn't even protect Yi Tianyun, they would have lived in vain. With so many domain lords here, even if a domain lord couldn't deal with the evil emperor alone, they could still break through some of his attacks. The evil emperor's eyes were cold. If I let you succeed again, I'll lose all face. He waved his hand and a huge black crystal appeared in the void. Everyone's expression changed. This was an awakening crystal. The evil emperor was already heaven-defying. If he awakened, what would happen? Yi Tianyun's heart sank. It seemed like the evil emperor was serious. Previously, he was just playing around. Now, he was really going to unleash his power, and it was going to be a very strong one. Then the evil emperor fiercely swallowed the awakening crystal. Instantly, a wave of power exploded out of his body, and his huge body began to rapidly weaken. Not only that, the evil god army scattered and gathered in his direction. One by one, they entered the evil emperor's body. Their bodies became smaller and smaller, and their power became more and more condensed. A force that had been compressed to the extreme constantly struck the surrounding void, causing it to distort. Chapter 17:15. After swallowing the awakening crystal, the evil god army was sucked into the evil god army crazily. It was not actually devouring, it was a kind of fusion. They really did not know how to fuse the evil god army directly into their bodies. More importantly, the more they gathered, the more terrifying their power became. The surrounding energy waves started to distort the space. They could clearly feel an extremely terrifying aura. Yi Tianyun's appraisal I was jumping crazily and the numbers kept rising. The numbers were jumping at a terrifying speed, much more powerful than before, and the numbers were still jumping. Such a fusion technique, if he completely awakens it, he will probably be extremely close to becoming a god emperor, right? Yi Tianyun could feel that the evil emperor's aura was so strong that it could kill everything in its path. If the evil emperor continued to attack them, they would all be killed. The evil god army was already very terrifying, and now he was absorbing so many evil god army into his body to strengthen himself. Every evil god army's cultivation was no weaker than a heavenly god. 3 teams of evil god army stacked together, which meant that there were 30 heavenly gods smashing into his body in one go. It was already very terrifying when he fused with the first team. Now that he was fusing with the third team, what kind of concept would that be? The concept was that he would be able to kill them instantly, crushing everything. This is bad. The Fekta domain lord floated over with a solemn expression. They could not be like the evil god army, who could fuse the power of the same race to greatly increase his own power. Even if they joined forces, they could not reach such heights. Especially when they became extremely powerful individually, they would have extremely terrifying power and speed. Their attacks would not even land on the evil god army, and they would be killed instantly. Lord Evil God Army, Lord Evil God Army. Lord Evil God Army, the evil god army started to shout loudly. They had been suppressed previously, and now they could finally fight back. The power that the evil god army had awakened could definitely suppress these invaders. The Sky Creator's expressions were also very ugly, as if they had seen the past. It's this kind of technique again. After the evil god army awakened, his power has greatly increased. I'm afraid we can't withstand it. Although the Sky Creators were very powerful, they were ultimately independent and did not have the ability to join forces to attack. No matter how powerful one person was, how could he withstand the combined power of a group of people? The Sky Creators were not invincible and omnipotent, but they were indeed very strong individually. However, facing the evil spirit race who could crazily fuse their powers, it would be difficult to resist. It had to be said that the reason the evil spirit race was able to overthrow so many powerful forces was because of this move. This was truly a combination of the strong. When all of them gathered together, the power that erupted from them would definitely be earth-shattering. Correspondingly, this kind of move would definitely have extremely strong side effects. However, in a short period of time, it was enough to kill everything in an instant. A little side effect was meaningless. Just a little bit more and they'll come out. Yi Tianyun's face was very serious. He knew that this time, he wouldn't be able to leave easily. When the Vile Emperor was angry, the power he would unleash would definitely be terrifying. Heavenly Goddess Yu Ji and the others were already fleeing toward them. However, the demonic deity army was still catching up to them, so their speed was obviously going to slow down. That was why he couldn't escape so quickly, but from the looks of it, he wasn't far from the passage. Phew. It's been a long time since I've felt this way. The Vile Emperor's voice came from ahead. The Vile Emperor's size was now no different from a normal person's. Sometimes, the bigger one was, the more terrifying one was. When an enormous amount of energy was compressed into a single point, the situation was completely different. The current Vile Emperor was extremely different. His body wasn't small, and he was roughly over 2 meters tall. There were no explosive muscles on his body, and he looked like a very normal body. However, the space around him was twisted, and there was a power that struck them with a sense of threat. This was extremely terrifying. Can any of us unleash a similar technique? Yi Tianyun turned to the Fecta Domain Lord with an inquisitive expression. Well, I don't think so. We do have a combination formation, but none of us are able to completely fuse them together. The Fecta Domain Lord had already gathered all of his power, and he was already prepared for battle. This kind of technique was indeed very powerful. It was practically against the rules. Perhaps they could combine forces to attack, but if their formation was disrupted, or if a few of them didn't cooperate well, then the combination formation could easily collapse. Yi Tianyun had encountered this many times before, and he had broken many of them. If he ruthlessly defeated one of them, the formation would either collapse, or its power would be greatly reduced. The Vile Emperor's was an exception. He had completely gathered together, and formed a single entity. When he unleashed his power, he could kill even gods. After completely fusing with them, the Vile Emperor waved his hand, and the passageway rapidly closed up. It was much faster than before. What power! Yi Tianyun's eyes focused, and he quickly formed a hand seal to continue suppressing the Vile Emperor's power. He didn't want the passageway to close up. If it was completely closed, then it would be troublesome to open it again. Let me help you. The Fecta Domain Lord immediately came over to help. He opened up the passageway, and only then did the Vile Emperor barely slow down. However, he only slowed down, and not stopped. They didn't expect that after the Vile Emperor fused with them, even this kind of control would be greatly strengthened, and they found it difficult to suppress him. Oh, the power is not bad, but it ends here. The Vile Emperor's eyes focused, and his gaze was like a solid line that pierced through their hearts. Yi Tianyun felt his heart tremble. He had a feeling that he was being watched, or rather, it was a feeling of death, coming from the front. The next moment, the Vile Emperor charged towards Yi Tianyun. With a dong, the void was directly shattered, and he rushed over in the blink of an eye. The defense formed by the Jianfeng Domain Lord and the others along the way seemed to be non-existent. Under the impact, even if they reacted, it was already too late. The group of Domain Lords was directly sent flying by the Vile Emperor's power, and all of them immediately suffered different kinds of injuries. This wasn't even a frontal attack, just the force of the impact alone was enough to send them flying. In less than a few breaths, the Vile Emperor had already killed his way to Yi Tianyun, and with a wave of his hand, he pierced through. He didn't use any weapons, and very simply used his hand as a sharp sword, and pierced through. Yi Tianyun's pupils shrank, and he instinctively wanted to dodge, but his body didn't move much, and the palm had already pierced through his body. The terrifying devouring power quickly spread around his body, and in the blink of an eye, his body withered, as if it was being sucked dry. Chapter 17-16. Although Yi Tianyun had expected it, he didn't expect it to be so powerful. The speed and the explosive power were on a completely different level from before. It felt like the evil emperor was using crazy damage mode. His original terrifying power was amplified by dozens of times. The power was so powerful that he was killed instantly. His chest was penetrated by the palm, and the terrifying devouring power spread out. His body began to wither and turn into ashes at a speed visible to the naked eye. Yi Tianyun could feel the life force in his body being devoured, and it was very fast. Even if someone came to his rescue immediately, it was too late. Most of his body disappeared instantly, and only his small head was left. Die, ant! The evil emperor waved his hand, and Yi Tianyun's body turned into a pile of ashes, which dissipated in all directions. This was the evil emperor's true strength. He could kill everything in an instant. Tianyun Territorial Master. They were shocked. They didn't expect their alliance master to be killed in an instant. Everything happened in an instant. Such a terrifying speed made their hearts tremble. If they were in his place, even if they could react in time to block it, they would still be seriously injured. It was as if a god emperor had descended. Even if he hadn't reached the level of a god emperor, he was infinitely close to it. He was so terrifying that they knew what the evil emperor was like. It's your turn now. Since you've all come, you'll die here. The evil emperor's pitch-black eyes looked toward the Fekta Territorial Master. His next target was undoubtedly the Fekta Territorial Master. The Fekta Territorial Master was a big trouble. If he didn't kill the Fekta Territorial Master, he wouldn't be able to calm his anger. Especially now that he was suppressing the passage, he wanted to kill him even more. The Fekta Territorial Master's heart trembled, and he felt extremely sad. He didn't expect Yi Tianyun to die like this, which made him sad and angry. If they hadn't come, Yi Tianyun wouldn't have died. He thought highly of Yi Tianyun, and he would definitely become a peerless expert in the future. But he still died, and he died right in front of his eyes. Just when everyone else thought that Yi Tianyun was dead, the space beside them suddenly trembled and a ball of fire appeared. A figure was instantly reborn from the fire. In the blink of an eye, Yi Tianyun came back to life. Everything seemed to be in perfect condition. Naturally, he was dead. However, he automatically used rising from the ashes and came back to life. However, the feeling of death did not dissipate. This power was too terrifying. This was the first time he had come into contact with evil emperor's power at such a close distance. What terrifying strength! He was almost killed in an instant. Yi Tianyun had thought that once he broke through to the late upper celestial realm, he would have the power to resist. Now, it seemed that he had the power to resist. But against someone like the heretical emperor, he would be killed instantly. Resurrected? They were shocked when they saw it. They didn't expect Yi Tianyun to come back to life. Or was it just an afterimage that was killed? Or is it something else? This was the first time they had seen such a resurrection. The evil emperor was also surprised. He clearly felt that he had killed Yi Tianyun, and it was definitely not a puppet or an illusion. He was sure that he had touched Yi Tianyun, but he was sure that Yi Tianyun was not a puppet or an illusion. But now, a living person had appeared in front of him. It was definitely not a fake, but a real person. Impossible. Evil Emperor immediately attacked Yi Tianyun again. Once again, he erupted with powerful strength. In the blink of an eye, he arrived in front of Yi Tianyun. This time, Yi Tianyun was prepared. He used all his moves. Dragon and Phoenix Divine Veins, Crazy Damage Mode, and so on. 5 Dragons Roar. 3 Empyrean Spirit Treasures released their strongest effects, turning into beams of light that pierced through. But against Evil Emperor's attack, it was like an ant trying to shake a tree. It was clearly overestimating itself. Instantly, the attack was scattered. The sharp palm once again pierced through his body. Die! Evil Emperor roared and quickly slashed his palm. Tianyun once again turned into dust and dissipated in the air. In just a few breaths, Tianyun had just resurrected, but he was killed again. Tianyun was too close to the evil emperor, so it was too late for the other domain lords to help Tianyun. Let's see if you can survive this. Evil Emperor looked around sharply and sensed the energy around him to see if he could still sense Tianyun's existence. After a while, another figure quickly condensed on the side. There is no doubt that it is Tianyun's body. He resurrected again. Damn it, I wasted 15 lives, Tianyun felt a pain in his heart. He resurrected, but Rebirth of Flames is still in cooldown. But he directly deducted 15 lives, which is a few billion crazy points. Of course, it's not a lot when converted into compressed crazy points. But even if it's not a lot, it's still a lot of crazy points. In the blink of an eye, he lost so much crazy points. Fortunately, it's a resurrection. If he died, he would really lose everything. He resurrected again. Sword Edge Domain Lord and the others were stunned. They all suspected that Tianyun was killed by a puppet. How can he resurrect again and again? They have never seen it before. Impossible. Could it be that all those I killed were your substitutes? The evil emperor felt that this was inconceivable. He had never seen this kind of situation before. Yes, do you think I will die? You just killed my substitutes, I am immortal. Tianyun knew that resurrection is too scary, so he followed evil emperor's words and let them think that he is just using substitutes. Then I'd like to see how many substitutes you have. The evil emperor roared as he attacked again. Tianyun was smart this time. He quickly used instant transmission to escape to another area to avoid being killed again. He will definitely die in a head-on confrontation. The gap in cultivation is too big. It would be strange if he doesn't get killed in a second. Escape? Didn't you say that you are immortal? Stand here and let me kill you. Evil Emperor quickly turned his head and looked at the area where Tianyun appeared. Idiot, even if I am immortal, do you think I will let you kill me? Catch me if you can. Tianyun quickly cooled down his teleportation, he can only rely on this to stall for time. Heavenly Goddess Yu Ji and the others are getting closer and closer. As long as he can escape, he will be the winner. It's not a good thing to confront Evil Emperor head-on. Chapter 1717. Although Tianyun can still use a lot of life to resurrect, he can't keep wasting it, right? If he continues to waste it like this, once he runs out of crazy points to buy life, then he will really die. Therefore, he is not immortal, but when he has a bit of money, he can become immortal. When the evil emperor chased after him again, he immediately chose to use teleportation to escape. If he could escape once, he would be lucky. Otherwise, if he was killed again and again, he would definitely die. I would like to see how many substitutes you have. The evil emperor was furious. Even if he has substitutes, he can't always have substitutes, right? No matter how powerful a move is, it will eventually run out of energy. Immediately, the evil emperor instantly appeared in front of Tianyun and waved his palm. This terrifying speed really closed the distance in an instant, and in the blink of an eye, he will be in front of Tianyun. When the evil emperor arrived, Tianyun immediately used instant transmission to disappear in place and escape to another area. But the moment he appeared, the evil emperor charged at him again, his palm piercing through him. Tianyun couldn't dodge this time, he was once again pierced by the evil emperor, he died. Once again, he was killed by the evil emperor, even instant transmission is useless. Although he can teleport to a very far area, for the evil emperor, this distance is just a matter of an instant, he can easily kill Tianyun in a blink of an eye. This is the power of cultivation. When the evil emperor's cultivation is at its peak, the distance is just a matter of an instant. When the evil emperor sensed the void energy fluctuation, he knew that Tianyun was ready to appear. When he appeared, the evil emperor was already in front of him and finished killing him. Instant transmission is so useless in the face of such a terrifying cultivation. Unless he hides in a protective formation or something, he will be immediately sensed. Die. The evil emperor waved his hand, and Yi Tianyun's body was turned into ashes. He died again. But it didn't take long for Yi Tianyun's body to condense again. The terrifying resurrection ability shocked everyone. Even if the evil emperor is very strong, he still has a headache in the face of this ability. Evil emperor's moves might seem very powerful, but no matter how powerful they were, there was a limit to them. It couldn't last for a very long time, but it was enough to crush Yi Tianyun many times. It's too scary. Is this the power of an emperor god? I'm being completely crushed. This was the first time Yi Tianyun felt so powerless. He couldn't fight back at all, and was just getting killed. Resurrection. I want to see how many more times you can live. Evil Emperor's eyes were filled with killing intent. Right now, he had no other target but Yi Tianyun. He wanted to kill him as many times as he could. He didn't believe that he couldn't kill Yi Tianyun. The next moment, when Evil Emperor wanted to kill Yi Tianyun again, a sword light slashed over and forced Evil Emperor back. At this moment, the Sword Edge Region Master appeared in front of Yi Tianyun. Terrifying sword chi revolved around his body. He seemed to have unleashed some sort of power that had reached a terrifying realm. Do you think we don't exist? If you want to kill the Heavenly Cloud Region Master, you have to ask me first. Ask me first. The other region masters also unleashed their power, either by burning their bloodlines or using their strongest treasures. They might not be able to fight Evil Emperor alone, but if they joined forces, they would be able to defeat Evil Emperor easily. One after another, the region masters intercepted them. They had to prepare themselves, but the time they took to prepare was enough for Yi Tianyun to die several times. Evil Emperor's speed was too fast. Even if they prepared themselves, they couldn't protect Yi Tianyun immediately. A bunch of ants. Do you think you can stop me with your power? Evil Emperor was furious. Then I will start with you. Anyone who stands in my way will die. The Evil Emperor didn't set Yi Tianyun as his target, he directly rushed towards Yi Tianyun and killed whoever tried to stop him. The Sword Edge Region Master and the others didn't hesitate to unleash their strongest moves. A bunch of gorgeous attacks turned into countless light beams that shot toward Evil Emperor. Although it wasn't a fusion attack, each of them contained terrifying power, and they covered a large area, making it impossible for Evil Emperor to escape. With so many region masters attacking together, even if it wasn't a fusion attack, the explosive power was still terrifying. Open! Evil Emperor rushed in, and in the blink of an eye, he was enveloped by the terrifying attacks. When everyone saw this, they were delighted. It seemed that Evil Emperor was a fool. With so many region masters attacking together, did he think that he was invincible and could easily block these attacks? Soon after, a sharp ray of light broke through the pillars of light and charged over. When everyone looked carefully, they realized that it was Evil Emperor who broke through their attacks and rushed toward them. The black energy around Evil Emperor could not only block the attacks, but it could also devour them. If this continued, their attacks would be useless. Not to mention injuring Evil Emperor, it would be good if they could even break his skin. In fact, let alone break his skin, they couldn't even break his thick defense. Terrifying power was displayed once again. An awakened Evil Emperor was really terrifying. Die, all of you. Evil Emperor's palm turned into a blade, and he slashed down. The black light turned into sword light, splitting the incoming attack in half and slashing toward the Sword Edge Region Masters. In the blink of an eye, it arrived in front of them, and they could only block it. The two waves of energy clashed, and with a loud explosion, many of the Region Masters were sent flying and injured. Although they were lightly injured, the attack of so many Region Masters not only didn't defeat Evil Emperor, but they were also sent flying by Evil Emperor's palm. Including Yi Tianyun, he was sent flying by the energy explosion, and he felt dizzy. This Evil Emperor was too domineering, so domineering that it made people's hair stand on end. His terrifying power made so many region masters unable to block it, and they still rushed over in one breath. Isn't this power too terrifying? Their hearts trembled. So many region masters attacked consecutively, but they couldn't even scratch the surface. That terrifying power made them feel despair. Why didn't such a powerful evil emperor attack? At most, he only sent a few evil spirit race people to cause trouble in the surroundings, but he didn't directly kill or trample the other divine domains. Yi Tianyun also felt the pressure increase. If this continued, they would all collapse. Some region masters would definitely be killed, and he wouldn't be able to save them. The lives bought from the shop could be saved, but only their bodies were in good condition. If they were turned into ashes, it would be difficult to recover. Looks like I can only use that ultimate move. Yi Tianyun's gaze turned cold. There was only one way to stall for time, and that was to break through. You're tuning in to the Blissful Bookshelf YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.